I'm
Okay.
ready. Go for it.
What's up, everybody? Happy July 31st. Happy Wednesday. Look at this. We're on time. It's a shocking day.
It
What's going on
is.
here?
Write home, everyone.
I
It's
know,
something to
right
write
home.
home about.
That's right. So today we're going to be watching this is a very fascinating, hilarious conversation. You all know that there was this really weird, gross, insulting opening ceremony at the Olympics, or part, I should say, it's part of the opening ceremony at the Olympics, where a bunch of drag queens and fat people
And
and not
perverts and
perverts, just
groomers.
not very physically attractive looking people. They did this weird like drag queen walkway performance thing, but then right before it, they had a reenactment that was very clearly of the Last Supper, the
Right.
famous Leonardo da Vinci painting of Jesus on his Last Supper before he was crucified. And people were, a little upset by this. Some people were like, it was a little gross, a little offensive. The Olympics supposed to be about unity, bringing people together, not really sticking your finger in the eye of one of the main religions in the entire world. And so we have here a conversation, a debate between Jessica Burbank and Robbie, and she's kind of, now that Briahna Greyjoy has been fired for her, if you recall, her scoffing at the sister of a kidnapped victim, of an Israeli kidnapped victim by Hamas. Now we have Jessica Burbank, who's kind of filled the role, and we could see, like, what's her take on the situation? Does she have a reasonable, rational take on this situation, or is it just, it's just a little crazy, right? It's a little crazy.
Sitch, what are you saying?
Oh, you're laughing.
A
Okay, you're
leftist
laughing.
with a
Yeah.
reasonable, rational take? What are you talking about,
Uh-huh.
Sitch?
Uh-huh. Okay, okay. Adam thinks he already knows how this is gonna go down.
Yeah, we
I'm
need to evaluate the argument style because this is, I mean, she is the Brianna Joy Gray 2.0, but I mean, this argument style is not exactly Brianna Joy Gray. Like, I see that she's trying to capture the Brianna magic, but maybe we can give
mhm.
her some advice along the way on how to up her Brianna game, right?
I like that. She's got to yell more. She's got to be more insulting. She's got to start accusing Robbie of being a secret racist.
Right. The
This
way
is good.
her argument style is, to my sentiment, just as annoying as Brianna, but annoying in like a
Really?
different way. Yeah, it's
Wow.
it's very, it's more like needling, like just needling you. Like,
Mm,
oh, please agree with me. Please agree
mm-hmm.
with me.
Interesting.
Or
Interesting.
Brianna was more like the hard fist. Like, you're gonna agree with me, or I'm gonna beat you into submission. This is more like, don't you think? Don't you think? But don't you think? It's like, please stop. Anyway, let's get into it. What do you think?
Let's jump into it. Okay.
The 4-hour Paris Olympic opening ceremonies has the right fuming. They're angry that a fashion show at the ceremony looked like Leonardo da Vinci's The Last Supper.
Now, are you on the right, Sitch? I mean, you were fuming, but I always consider you a liberal, like someone on the
So,
left,
well, I'm
obviously.
not Christian, and
Right.
I'm not right wing. And yeah, I thought it was very offensive. Like, if this was just a random street performance in Paris of people doing this for like a photo op, I wouldn't care. I'd say, yeah, it's insulting, but who gives a shit, right? Freedom of speech. But the thing that bothered me specifically is that this is the Olympics. It is supposed to be the symbolic gesture of global unity, everyone coming together to participate in sports. And to sully that symbol with like an action that's intentionally supposed to be divisive, intentionally supposed to be political, to me is kind of disgusting.
So you're basically saying the goal of the Olympics is to promote unity in the world, and you saw this action as against that primary goal. The
Exactly.
primary objective of the Olympics was circumvented by this pro LGBT political display. Now, look, I've often said,
Well, wait. But like if they just had a drag queen show before the Olympics, I still would think it would have been like in really poor taste
Right.
and gross and like because it's like intentionally a political divisive statement.
Right.
But they went beyond that. It's not just so I wouldn't characterize it as like a pro LGBT thing. They went beyond that to intentionally insult Christians.
Right. It was a pro LGBT display coupled with a Christians are horrible people and they suck. Like deliberately trying to insult them.
Sure. Yes.
Okay.
I mean, I would say that they're saying Christians suck. They're just trying to like stick their finger in the eye and go nanny nanny boo boo.
They're trying to enrage Christians. They're trying to trigger Christians. They're like, look, this ideology is directly opposed to your ideology, and let me show you a display that will be perceived as our ideology or displacing your ideology in the world.
Right.
Okay. So I've often said, and this is one of the things that I dislike about this form of like illiberal progressive ideology, is that it really is taking different institutions like the Olympics, which was designed to promote unity, foster global unity, and circumventing that cause with the cause of spreading the goals of progressivism, particularly everybody accepting LGBT rights and whatnot. So I think it's interesting that now, we're having this conversation about, instead of universities teaching about truth, science, those kinds of things, the university has been taken over by promoting progressive ideology. Now the Olympics have been taken over by promoting progressive ideology. Movies, TV has been taken over. It used to be about entertainment. Now it's about promoting progressive ideology. So it's just another feather in the cap when people talk about progressive ideology being this kind of acid that breaks down society. All of these different institutions have different goals, right? Well, that's the old system where they all had these different goals. Now the goal is only promoting progressive ideology. So,
thank you so much, our surrogate father, Daddy J-Mac, for the 50 gifted memberships. Thank you so much.
Yes.
In case you missed it, at one.
Bull Moose has a good point here. It's interesting. I didn't know. He says for $5, he says that the scene was called the scene of the Last Supper on the Seine, which is the name of the river that they're gonna have the swimmers swim in the Olympics.
Mm-hmm.
In French, it's wordplay because those three words all are pronounced the same. So that's interesting. And I don't know if you know this, but that river, they had a big like controversy with it because that river in Paris was so polluted and disgusting that they had to spend $1.5 billion to try to clean it up for the Olympics. And there was real concerns about whether it'd actually be clean enough for the Olympic swimmers to swim in. And supposedly today they swam in it and it said they claim that the water passed quality water testing. So, I hope the Olympic swimmers don't get infected with anything.
Yeah, skeptical. I saw them doing like on the hour testing for bacteria count.
Yeah.
Opening ceremonies has the right fuming. They're angry that a fashion show at the ceremony looked like Leonardo da Vinci's The Last Supper. In case you missed it, at one point during the ceremony, there was a long table that included a woman with a halo-like crown at the center.
Soon after, a nearly naked man painted in blue who depicted the Greek god Dionysus laid on the center of the table. The god was surrounded by drag queens, and the god then sang, and it turned into a runway scene where models were strutting. Piers Morgan wrote on X, quote, "By the way, what the F was all this about? A drag queen mockery of the Last Supper at the Olympics? Would they have mocked any other religion like this? Appalling decision." Fitness influencer Jillian Michaels wrote, quote, "Dear fellow gays, we demand tolerance and respect, but then make a mockery of something sacred for over 2 billion Christians. This type of hypocrisy and lack of understanding is a bad look. We get outraged when the extreme right bashes us, but then we do this shit." The Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson.
This is a great point. If you're demanding tolerance and respect from a group of people, the way to get that is not to insult them, right? To not crap on them and their beliefs.
Yeah, totally.
Perfect tweet.
also weighed in, writing, "Last night's mockery of the Last Supper was shocking and insulting to Christian people around the world who watched the opening ceremony of the Olympic Games. But the Olympic ceremony's artistic director has denied that the scene was taking inspiration from the Last Supper. The director told Parisian news outlet BFM that, quote, the idea was to do a big pagan party linked to the gods of Olympus." Now, in response to the internet drama, the Olympic Games tweeted, quote,
Okay, this is like a lie. We all know this is a lie, right? This is a total lie. It was obviously the Last Supper. They're positioned in a very similar way as the Last Supper. The woman in the middle has the Jesus / Madonna halo crown thing that you only see associated with that. I've never seen that like image associated with the Greek gods or something. But then it's also weird too, because like if this was in Italy or like Rome, you'd be like, oh, that's why they're like want to do Greek gods, because their culture. Like, what do the Greek gods have to do with France? Like, it's
Good
so
question.
weird. It's like, oh, this guy is dressed, he's like Dionysus, which first of all, I don't know why he's blue. I've never seen Dionysus be painted blue, so I don't know what's up with that. But like this has nothing to do with like French culture. It's so strange.
Yeah, even if it was accidental, somebody had to point out that this connection was going to be made, and they probably moved forward snickering about it. So it's
I mean, yeah, it was 100% intentional. One of the people that was performing it before the controversy really exploded said it was the Last Supper. It's like, this is just a total lie that it wasn't.
right. Yeah.
quote, the interpretation of the Greek god Dionysus makes us aware of the absurdity of violence between human beings. Yes, lots of
Dionysus is the god of drinking and partying.
Yeah.
Like, how much violence is perpetrated while people are drunk?
Probably
a lot more than when they're sober.
Right.
It's hilarious that they're like, yeah, this is about nonviolence. Yeah. All those nonviolent drunks out there.
When it's weird, because like I seem to recall because I really loved Greek mythology growing up, that there were associations with Dionysus. Like, yeah, he'd be very jolly and feasting and stuff, but that there were followers of his who were known to like get into like drunken frenzies and cause chaos, and like that he was okay with it.
Right.
So it is weird connection,
He's peace and love, Sitch.
Yeah.
Conversation about this over the weekend. Lots of people on the right very, very angry. They tried to deny that it had anything to do with the Last Supper, even though one of the artists involved did call it a Last Supper tribute. And so there was a lot of perception that this was mocking Christians.
How is it mocking Christians, though? I don't get that. How would it be a mockery of Christians? How do we know they're not Christians?
Well,
Brilliant argument, Sitch.
Anyone that asks this question that says, how's it a mockery of Christians? This is performative stupidity. They know the answer. They just think that you won't be able to articulate it in a way, like in a good enough way, so that they can just attack you on a word thinking level as opposed to a concept level. But every single person on the face of planet Earth understands why a Christian person or any religious person would be insulted if their religion was depicted in such a fashion, right?
Right.
Like everyone knows this.
Yeah, these are the same people who are saying if you don't use the right pronouns, it's a genocide.
Yes,
so it's like,
exactly.
Yeah, you get it.
Right. And just because if someone involved is Christian, like that wouldn't make it less offensive to Christians.
Right. Yeah.
They're dressed up sexually and provocatively.
Christians do that.
In a
Christians do that.
Yeah, I don't know about you, Adam. As a Jew, I haven't been to a lot of like Christian services, right?
Right.
But one time I did go to a Catholic church, and I was very surprised that in the middle of the mass, they had a bunch of nuns come out, and they're wearing like the sexy nun outfits with like the garter belts.
Yeah.
And they had like a Jesus come out who was a guy who looked like Jesus, and he was just wearing like a thong. And, they did like a very sexual dance routine at the front row. And I was like, wow, I should go to these Christian services more often. It's a lot of fun things are happening.
Yeah. The vow of celibacy that nuns take is that's so over now. Now it's a vow of sluttery. that they take. Hey, the job of the nun is to fuck everyone in the congregation.
Wow. Yeah, listen, I should convert. This sounds awesome.
Yeah. Look, this is the new Christianity that Jessica Burbank is promoting.
Mm-hmm.
What?
Thank you so much, our surrogate father, Daddy J-Mac, for the $100. Look at that.
Wow, that's awesome.
Says, who is this broad? This ain't our rage queen, Briahna Greyjoy. This is like when they replace Olivia Munn on AOTS with what's her face? What is dead may never die. Bring back Brie. Also on topic, did you guys see the translated lyrics of the opening song? Super commie cringe.
No, really?
All I know about, I didn't see them. I just heard someone telling me about them, that it was something like when everyone is naked. Like the reason he was dressed like that is like when everyone is naked, you can't hide a weapon on your body, and that we all need to go back to being naked and the world will be better. So it's sort of like a return to monkey leftist noble savage myth and song.
Ugh. Gross.
Yeah. But yeah, bring back Briahna.
Not in a pretending to be the depicted saints and saying that Jesus is being analogized to a drag figure. I mean, they're engaged in behavior that the faith says is also wrong.
Jesus was so nice to hookers and people who dress up and people who are nightlife.
Tolerate them, but the church is opposed.
He hung out with them.
Doing.
This is like a troll. Robbie's way too nice. Jessica's just trolling him. These are not real positions. These are not real arguments. First of all, I don't remember Jesus being friendly with the drag queens. Right? I don't know about you. I don't remember drag queens being mentioned in the Bible. Okay. Was that a thing back like 2,000 years ago? There were a bunch of drag queens running around. And Jesus was like, blessed are the drag queens, those who perform by tucking their dicks between thy cheeks.
Yeah.
like what?
There was some hooker interaction with Jesus. I think
there were prostitutes, yes.
Yeah,
right.
So a hooker washed his feet, and I think people got mad about it, and he was like, yeah, just chill. Something to that effect. So
right. But it was supposed to be my understanding,
mm-hmm.
Again, was that it's supposed to be a prostitute who was renouncing their past ways and trying to, find salvation through God.
They were on the straight and narrow? Really? Okay.
That was my understanding of the story. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm not Christian. Was that it was supposed to be about like anyone can be forgiven. Anyone can change their life around and move forward. And you shouldn't, freak out about it. My understanding was not Jesus was hanging around with active prostitutes who are like banging people on the street. And Jesus is like, yeah, that's cool. Like,
yeah, he wasn't promoting prostitution.
Right.
Yeah. Where these people are actively promoting this kind of lifestyle that Jesus would have been against.
Yes.
Messed up gender stuff.
I don't know. I think any of these people could have been Christian. I think it was good entertainment. The French famously have never mocked any religion or any member of any Muslim or Islamic group, right? Wrong, Piers Morgan, very wrong. The French have been very racist, especially in recent months. And plus, I know.
Wait, you just called it racist. Wait, so it's now.
Yes.
So if we're making fun of Christians, you said it's fine, and it's
no, I'm making fun of
Muslims.
Morgan.
It's racist.
I am making fun of Piers Morgan, who.
She totally slipped up. I love this.
I know.
She slipped up, and Robbie caught her. Yep. She's like, "Oh, did I say racist?"
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm just so used to calling everything racist. It slipped out. I'm so sorry.
I said. It's ridiculous that they're making fun
let's say
of
we had trans Muhammad.
And
let's say we had someone cross-dressing with Islamic garb, fake beard, saying they're Muhammad and they have breasts.
Well,
would you be fine with that?
They're Jesus. Let's start there.
Well, let's say we did that. Would everyone be fine with that? Let's do it. We'll do it right now. I mean, those people get blown up.
My point is, Piers Morgan is saying that Christians are uniquely.
They would. They did it with Charlie Hebdo, right?
Yes.
The famous French magazine published pictures of Mohammed that the Islamic community found offensive, and they did. They murdered people that worked for the magazine.
Yeah, well, don't say like the entire Muslim community did not murder them, but a guy who was Muslim or a group of people that were Muslim attacked their office and shot it up and killed a bunch of people, and it was insane.
Right. Yes, obviously.
Right.
oppressed by France or some way, or being made fun of?
No,
by
Christians
France?
are uniquely made fun of because they don't blow anybody up in response.
Yeah, the French have been very discriminatory towards different religious groups, different ethnic groups. It's very much attention in France.
Have they been discriminatory towards the LGBT community? Could they be discriminatory against them? Could they mock them? Would that be acceptable?
No, not to my knowledge. I'm not aware. Like she's talking about how in France they have a lot of these. They have like very strong laws and kind of enforcing a level of public secularism, and this kind of really only comes up when women want to wear hijabs or burqas in public, and they don't let them do it, or they don't let them do it at the beach or something. I don't know. There's some like weird law that this comes up with specifically, and everyone always points to it. And it's like, okay, like, I mean, I guess that's a little weird. That's weird. I don't know why they give a shit about that. That's fine. But as you said, they're not like to say that because France has this weird law where they don't let women wear hijabs or burqas at the beach or when they're swimming or whatever, like that somehow means it's okay that for the Olympics, they should be making fun of a religion. Like this is a stupid fucking argument. I wouldn't want the Olympics to have like the Charlie Hebdo, covers, like people reenacting the Charlie Hebdo covers of having like someone pretend to be Muhammad and like gay kiss whoever the fuck he was covering and, kissing in the cover at the Olympics. I'd be like, this is the Olympics. It's not supposed to be like this political statement.
Yeah, it shouldn't be promoting any ideology.
No, except for just like global unity so we can all compete in, sporting events. Like it's just be very like vanilla.
Nice.
France is a secular country.
So I think Piers Morgan is a hypocrite. That's all that's about. That's all that.
I don't think he's a hypocrite. I think he's dead on.
You think he's dead on with what part?
Saying that this was, was Christians are uniquely mocked and stigmatized. It is cultural elites have no problem, are perfectly comfortable mocking Christians in a way they are not about other religions, specifically Islam. Now, I'm not a religious person, and I'm for free speech and mockery of religion is fine, but it's always one way. It's only directed at Christians, and that's why the right is taking umbrage at it.
Are there any Christian athletes that cannot play on the French national team at the Olympics? Because there are women who are barred from being on the football team, the basketball team, the judo team, the boxing team, the volleyball, and the badminton team because they wear a hijab. What's more discriminatory?
What you said that France has an anti-religious kind of attitude in their country. Do I agree with that? Absolutely not. I would certainly let people participate for that reason.
Do you think it's
if
silly
we were in
Piers
America,
Morgan's?
Yes, because we have the First Amendment.
Do you think it's silly Piers Morgan's more upset about that Last
You can
Supper
be upset about multiple
upset
things.
About
I don't know. Is he not upset about that? Did he say that was a good thing and that's the way it should be?
Well, that certainly wasn't the conversation of the right over the weekend, or the focus of the right over the weekend. That hasn't been the focus of the right actually at all. So if you really care about freedom of expression and freedom of religion and these fundamental freedoms...
We only care, nobody can be upset that they got mocked and made fun of and that elites hate them and stigmatize their values and make fun of their faith because also somewhere else a Muslim was denied rights that I think they should have. Yes, I think should have those rights too.
I think that's about...
I mean, all of her defense are just like this whataboutism. Like, but why aren't people mad about this other thing? Well, people aren't mad about it because, number one, most people probably don't even fucking know about it. It wasn't a thing that came up, right? I don't think the average person doesn't know that in France, that the French didn't let female athletes wear hijabs for some reason that were participating in the Olympics, which is stupid and weird, but okay, fine. You could be against that. That has nothing to do with putting on a specific performance that the entire world sees that is representing both the Olympic Games and your country, right? Like if in the opening ceremony they had a performance where there's a woman like walking by with a hijab or a burqa and some like drag queen runs up and like rips it off and you see they're dressed sexily underneath and they start dancing, right? I think people would be kind of mad about that. They'd be like, that's kind of fucked up.
They would, yeah, totally. If this was mocking Islam or Judaism, there would be just as much outrage. Well, there would be outrage from the left, obviously, if it was mocking Islam.
Right. Exactly.
Maybe
That's why.
Judaism, they'd be in favor of it.
Yeah, exactly.
Right now,
Yeah.
we're kind of in a transitionary period here. So,
Right. But that's what's just, and it's so ridiculous because like the problem here is, Christians are, it's culturally acceptable to make fun of Christians and only Christians because in the West, especially on the left, there's this socialist idea of like it's always okay to punch up forever and it's not okay to punch down. And so therefore, the view is that like the white Christian is at the top of the power hierarchy, so you can just make fun of them indefinitely and shit on them indefinitely. You're not allowed to make fun of, Islam because that's like, that's punching down because they're brown people, and that makes you racist.
Interesting. Yeah, that's a good point.
Left only cares when there's something about them.
No, it's precisely that it's about Christians looking at a fashion show.
This is why religious freedom is important, because it was why I support religious freedom and want to let individuals, businesses, communities practice their faith in America however they see fit.
And no one has the freedom to make fun of them?
No, they have the freedom, and they do enjoy the freedom, and they take advantage of the freedom because they mock, again, mostly just Christians. They do it all the time. That's fine. They have the freedom to do that. No one's calling for them to be jailed for blasphemy as they would be in an Islamic country.
Here's the thing. A lot of these drag queens very well could have been brought up in a Christian household. And they could very much.
There are countries where they throw you off the building for doing this kind of thing, counter to the religion. It's not America. It's not.
Ooh, why she keeps saying this. Like, these drag queens, they could have been Christian. Like, what does that have to do with anything? Who cares? Like, that's completely irrelevant to the conversation.
Yeah, if you're brought up in a Christian household, you're allowed to make fun of Christianity. Is the argument that she's making?
It's just the only thing that's kind of frustrating here is that Robbie needs to bring up that specifically the issue here is that this is the Olympics.
Mhm.
Okay, this isn't just a random street performance. This isn't a random parade in Paris. This is the Olympics that means something to people.
Right. Yeah. She hasn't brought that up at all. But it is interesting. The argument that she's making is this, as long as you're self-deprecating about your own group, everything is fine. So a lot of it rests on, these are Christians making fun of themselves is kind of the argument she's making.
Right.
But no, based on no evidence. I don't know. Are they?
Right. I don't know. I have no clue. It's just because it's so irrelevant. It doesn't even matter.
Right.
America's not France, but go ahead.
They very much could have grown up in a Christian faith where they were discriminated against. They could have been Americans. I don't know the nationality of the drag queens that participated in this, but let's not forget that the Supreme Court did.
So she does set up the oppressor-oppressed dynamic here. She's like, these people were oppressed by Christians, and therefore it's okay for them to fight, to mock the Christians that oppress them and are currently oppressing them.
And I like how she says they could have been oppressed by Christians, like theoretically. It's like, well, okay. I mean, anything could happen, I guess, technically. Like, what kind of answer is that?
They should have done a reenactment of the bombing of Gaza, where they had people in burqas being bombed by Jewish people in yarmulkes. Right. That would have been great for the Olympics, don't you think, Sitch?
I think that would have been
embracing world unity.
That would have been. I mean, that would have been the talk of the town. People would have talked about that. Yeah.
Would have drawn a lot of attention to the Olympics, that's for sure.
And well, because it really, and I'm glad she brings it up, because some people who are like smarter or more articulate at crafting arguments, they're better at hiding the true emotion that's judging, or let's say they're better at hiding the true emotion that's guiding their belief.
Right.
Because they know, well, I can't say what I'm actually feeling because that's a terrible argument. But she's not at that point yet. And so like she just says like what she's feeling, which is an insane argument, which is, well, how do you know that these people weren't like oppressed by Christians? It's like, well, wait, hold on a second. So you're saying because Christians, you think that there's a hypothetical group of Christians that have been mean to or oppressed a hypothetical group of gay, queer, or drag queens that justifies on the Olympics to do this performance where drag queens and queer people make fun of Christianity? Like, that's an insane argument.
So much of the oppression too comes down to they believe Christians think they should burn in hell. So it's not like tangible oppression anymore. It's just they have this belief that LGBT people should burn in hell or will burn in hell.
Right.
Like, how can you say, oh, the Christians shouldn't be getting offended when, I mean, that's the extent of what you're getting offended over, right?
True.
They disapprove of your lifestyle. You disapprove of their lifestyle.
Promise to take away fundamental freedoms for gay people in the United States. Yes, for drag queens included. So Clarence Thomas.
I mean, the freedom to walk into an elementary school, right? In inappropriate attire, that's the freedom they're talking about getting rid of, not the freedom to just like do anything. Yeah.
When I like this argument she's about to bring up, it's like totally wacky.
Okay.
Yes, for drag queens included. So Clarence Thomas called for the due process precedents.
Away for drag queens.
Okay, Robbie. They called for due process precedents for Griswold. What is that? The law requiring counseling and medical treatment, violating a woman's right to privacy. So they're trying to force women to have counseling and medical treatment.
That's a totally different thing.
Then you have Obergefell, or whatever you pronounce it, which is about same-sex marriage. They want to take that away. They want to overturn that.
Who's they right now?
Clarence Thomas and the conservative Supreme Court justices. He wrote this in the Dobbs decision. Then you have Lawrence v. Texas, which is the.
You like this argument? It's like, okay, because in America, you have a conservative Supreme Court justice, Clarence Thomas, who I completely disagree with, talking about trying to get rid of gay marriage in a concurrent opinion that is not binding, because he makes this dumb fuck comment that somehow means that it's okay in a different country, in France during the Olympics, for queer and drag queens to intentionally make fun of Christianity. Like, the level of NPC like mind melting in this argument is off the charts.
Definitely has a hint of motivated reasoning, doesn't it?
Just a hint. It's so ridiculous. Like, this is ridiculous. What is happening here?
The statute banning consensual homosexual acts, banning from people engaging in homosexual acts at all.
I definitely don't want to ban that or gay marriage or any of those other things.
Okay, but maybe this is their artistic expression, making fun of the religion and the mentality that oppresses them.
Whether you can engage in artistic expression is not even up
Robbie,
for
argument. If I could say a few sentences. So them expressing their artistic view and Christians watching that and saying, that's about me and it's offending me, and being upset about that, but not protecting the fundamental rights of religion, thinking artistic expression is more important than that, I find ridiculous.
Look, I think it is clearly what they did, that display. It was designed to offend Christians, and it had the desired effect. So they can't, like, they want it to be provocative.
You don't know what their intent was?
Their intent is to be, it always is to be controversial and provocative, and to get a rise out of get to scandalize.
Everything's
Christian,
not about them and their
people.
feelings.
That's what they tried to do, and they succeeded. So, you know, look, if I was a.
She just laid out this insanely long argument that was ridiculous about how maybe they did this because of the evil conservatives on the Supreme Court that are anti-gay. Right. And then he says, well, they got the rise out of that community that they wanted, and this is the backlash. And she's like, why is everything got to be about them? She's the one that made that argument, that said it was about them, that it was in response to all that stuff.
Because she said this was done deliberately to poke fun at their oppressors. And then all of a sudden it's like, no, it wasn't done. Look, they are misinterpreting what's going on here. They aren't making fun of their oppressors. Well, which is it? Which one is it?
Which one is it, Jessica?
It could be either one.
Religiously inclined Christian type person, I would studiously try not to get offended, to deny them the satisfaction of having successfully offended me. I would maybe urge religious people to give that a try, because you're getting them the attention they actually want. Good advice. Totally good advice right there. Yeah. Don't let them trigger you guys. Don't let them get under your skin. Sitch. But at the end of the day, it was designed to offend and offended. So there you go.
I think it's quite funny that it's usually the same people that are like, oh, you're such a triggered snowflake, are the same people that see everything and they're like, this is about me and my religious beliefs, and they're making fun of me, and they're.
Look, she's totally reversed herself here.
I know.
Look, it had nothing to do with any of that stuff that I just said.
Oh, but why are you getting, and they always do this thing. It's so gross. We're like, we've sat through the left for the last 8 to 10 years, becoming the most sensitive fucking snowflakes on the entire face of the planet.
Of
Where
course.
any,
Yeah.
misstep gets you called some kind of form of bigotry. And then when someone complains or is offended by something they do, they're like, why are you being so sensitive?
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, fuck you.
Yeah, what are the rules? Are we all going to be careful and mind each other's moral intuitions, or are we not? Are we just going to be bitches and fucking beat up on everyone?
We're
What's
just
the
gonna be
rules, Sitch?
bitches.
Which one is it?
There are no rules to any of this stuff.
I
Well, the rules
go ahead. I
the
know
rules
the
are
rule.
if they view you as in a position of power, they get to do whatever they want, and you just have to fuck off. That's the
Right.
rules.
The rules are rules for thee and not for me. That's the
Exactly.
rule right there. When we
Exactly.
do it, it's not a big deal because you're oppressive.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But when you do it, it's
It's like
horrible.
the
It's a
biggest deal on the
genocide.
planet. Yeah, exactly.
God, the oppressor-oppressed lens is just, it does so much work. It does all of the thinking for them.
It really does.
How do you, I
It's-
mean, you can't really have principles with that lens because it basically says if you're oppressed, anything you do, lie, cheat, or steal, there's no prohibition against it. That's the
Right.
problem with that lens.
Yeah, it's despicable. It leads only to negative outcomes.
Right. I think people should be honest, whether they're oppressed or not. I think people should not steal and cheat and deceive people, whether they're oppressed or not.
I think that's ridiculous, Adam. And
Yeah.
I can't believe you'd even say that. Obviously, oppressed people get to do whatever the fuck they want forever.
Well, look, a lot of people I think are claiming, I mean, it's like a stolen valor type situation here. They're out there saying, how can I be oppressed? I need to move up the oppression hierarchy here.
Mhm.
What can I do?
Of course.
Maybe I have ADD or something, right?
Right.
Maybe I was born in a Christian household and I'm gay.
Oh my God.
Right. It's funny when you dig in on some of those cases, it's like the parents are like, I was not anti-gay.
Sometimes, yeah. Well, the problem is that if you lay out a set of rules where you basically say, if you match this criteria, you get to do whatever the fuck you want.
Oh yeah.
Then
Of
everyone's
course.
gonna like rush to match that set of criteria, whether it's real or not.
Of course. That's a great point. Yeah. So that they can get the get out of jail free card.
Exactly.
It's like, look, I can do anything.
Yeah.
People like being dishonest pieces of shit, especially on the internet.
Whiny crybabies about it, and it's ridiculous when people's rights are literally being denied.
Well,
Just use a whiny crybaby argument when people want you to use their pronouns. Please, Jessica. Please. Please. That's when I want to hear you call people whiny crybabies.
Mhm.
Look, someone didn't want to honor your non-binary pronouns. Stop being a whiny crybaby.
Yeah.
Okay?
suck it
Get
up.
over it.
again, you can be against two things. People's rights should not be denied. I support most of the rights you just went around, and the rights of drag queens are not up for. You can dress in women's clothing, you can perform, you can do all of those things. You are allowed to. Again, in the U.S., under the First Amendment, we have robust protections for freedom of speech, artistic expression, and religious liberty, and it is Christians who have felt under attack. This is, again, the attitude of the right, that their ability to practice their faith and have schools organized the way they want to be has been the thing under attack. But I support everyone having the rights you mentioned.
But then I don't get why you're upset at Pierce Morgan, or why you agree with Pierce Morgan. I don't get why you agree with him if you're someone that believes in the freedom of expression and speech, but you're upset that these people are having this artistic expression.
You can agree that they have the right to do it, and
still be upset about it?
Well, I'm not upset.
But
I don't
Pierce
care.
is upset, and you said you agree with his statement.
This is total emotional manipulation here.
I know.
This is
It's
like,
terrible.
but you're totally upset, Robbie. You're upset. Just say it. Tell me how upset you are.
Mm-hmm.
Understand why Christian people are offended, and I, like Piers, get a little perturbed by the fact that it always seems to be directed that way. There's the mockery of Islam is not culturally condoned in the way that mockery of Christianity is in elite progressive art circles. That is the statement I would make. I think that's what Piers Morgan was getting at.
I think there are very many people who mock the religions they grew up in if they felt them to be oppressive, and if that's what we're seeing in Christianity.
Right. Well, the people who mock Christianity get celebrated. The people who mock Islam get killed if they're in the Islamic countries. But
this wasn't a mockery of Christianity.
Different standards.
It was a celebration of Christianity, I would say.
Well,
okay.
Did you hear her? See, look at her face and you hear her voice.
She knows she's trolling. She's trolling so hard.
That's the duping delight, right there.
It is.
Yeah.
It totally is. Look, Jessica Burbank, psychopath, right there. Look at that face. She's totally.
Like,
it was a celebration of Christianity.
I know. So
the
gross.
Evil Christianity.
It was a celebration of this thing I said is super evil and everyone should get to make fun of because it's oppressive in a hypothetical sense to some of these people that I don't know anything about their backstory.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my God. Don't change it yet. I want to blow up this this like zealful face she has on. Look. This is hilarious. Yeah.
So
celebration.
It's just a celebration, Robbie. I don't understand why you're mad.
Robbie, why are you so angry?
Yeah, don't be mad. Don't be fat and mad, Robbie. Okay, you're so fat and mad. Look at Robbie's face. Got like this grimace on his face. He's like, oh.
Oh, I must be on a different frame as you.
Oh, okay.
Hold on here.
You tell us what you think. Let us know. We'll be reading those comments.
She's even giggling. She's
I know.
so giggly.
It's so bad.
More rising right after this.
Okay, Jessica. Low energy. You need to step it up a bit. We're yelling.
She does. I want Briahna Greyjoy like screeching levels of Robbie, what the fuck's wrong with you?
Stop the pleading.
Yes.
So Robbie never made the argument that you made that this kind of goes against the telos of the Olympics, the primary goal of the Olympics. It's in direct conflict with that. He never really made that argument. So,
no,
but I do think that is the best argument because these institutions have a purpose. They serve a purpose in the world. And if you're including elements that are antithetical to that purpose, I mean, what's the point? I mean, this is the exact same argument in the academic field where, various vocations have abandoned their goal of science and expanding human knowledge to basically promote transgender rights or feminism, like all these various different ideologies. So that's the same argument.
It's true.
Yeah.
Very true.
Well, and look, it's the same argument in movies. Like a lot of the reasons why we say a lot of these movies are bad is because they've abandoned their goal of entertaining audiences, right? In favor of lecturing them about progressive politics.
Yeah, but that's good. That's a good thing.
According to the clerics of progressivism, sure, but not according to people who just want to sit down and enjoy a good movie.
No, listen, everything in life is political, okay? Only the dirty fascists say otherwise, and you
everything
have to just
in
accept it.
Oh my God, I see what you're talking about. Okay, I stopped on the Robbie grimace.
The Robbie grimace.
Jessica's looking at him like, I'm trolling you so hard right now, and Robbie looks like, Robbie's like, no, you're not, bitch. No, you're not.
Terrible.
Oh, it's so good. So what do you think?
Okay.
They ditched this is supposed to parallel like a couple fighting, right?
Is it? Is that what you
I think so, yeah. Look, I think that's one of the reasons why those got so popular. It's like they're like the odd couple.
I mean, they got Jessica here, they got the right level of like crazy. Okay. They got the right level of crazy, they got the right level of like dishonest rhetoric. Okay. So like A+ for that. But she doesn't have the energy, man. She needs to really like step it up. She didn't really step up her screech game, okay, and her calling Robbie and attacking him on a personal level game for me to really feel like she's picked up the mantle of Briahna Greyjoy.
Right. Yeah. Briahna used a lot of really underhanded tactics. So I guess we'll be looking for those.
So she was listen, Briahna was a professional. Okay. She
she
really knew how to be
how.
just like awful.
Well, she was an attorney, so I mean, she knew how to lie professionally.
That's
so,
true. That's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know about Jessica Burbank. I don't know much about Jessica Burbank's background.
Jessica's got to step it up. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, that was
Join the
fun.
ranks of professional liar.
That was fun and terrible at the same
No,
time.
it was great. I loved it.
Actually, what is Jessica Burbank's like background?
Let's look into it.
It says she was an
Let's
actress.
turn this into a research. Really? No way.
Oh, well, I mean, she was, I don't know if this counts. She's in two things I've never heard of. I don't know if that counts.
Look, if she's an actress, she should know about the energy level. Like, what is this? What are we doing here, Jessica? Is this like a dramedy or something? But come on. Let's bring some real conflict into this scene.
I know she doesn't have like a Wikipedia that talks about what she used to do. So
this is how you can tell Adam is like the most honest content creator on YouTube.
How?
Because look, everyone knows that I support MMT. Like, I think the lens of MMT is an accurate lens to look at the economy, and very useful. It would be helpful if people understood it, right?
Right.
Jessica Burbank does this super cringe series on TikTok called MMT Cowboy. Look, we could bring up some.
No, you don't do it, Adam. Don't do it.
We could bring up some of those videos and people would love it because it just makes MMT seem ridiculous. It's the thing that I'm always complaining about. I wish more people on the right would look into MMT and give it an honest critique, because I do think there's value in having multiple competing ideologies look at different problems in the world and attempt to solve them through different methods. And but this is like, a lot of the commies pick up MMT and they use it as a tool to promote communism, which I think it's a complete misread of MMT, but it gives MMT a bad name, obviously. And I do think Jessica Burbank is one of those people. So, but the reason, look, anyone else would bury that information. They would not want you to know this information. They'd be, oh my God, this makes me look bad. Don't let me point to this, right? But me, no, hell no. I want you guys to dig in. I want you to dig in and enjoy.
Adam is a true patriot, okay?
Yeah, totally.
He wants you to know.
It's funny. Anyway, are we going to watch something else, or are we just going to read super chat?
No, just this.
This is it?
This is it.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
Short stream, I guess.
Not every stream has to be like 10 hours.
What's wrong with you? Sitch, are you feeling okay?
Oh,
okay. Are you all right?
Sorry. Yeah.
Has anything happened in the election stuff? Or are we still in crazy town?
Blink twice if I've been replaced by someone. Actually, no, there's something I should bring up. So, we were talking yesterday about how the weird insult was effective against JD Vance and Trump, and that we were trying to think of what would be a good potential counter to that, right? So someone named Doxpin, who's a fan of the show, DM me, and I think he came up with something really good. He said it should be fake, and then I thought, yeah, fake and phony, I think is a perfect line of attack against Kamala.
So explain the backstory on the weird first, so we know what it's in contrast to.
Well, so right now the left has kind of globbed onto this phrase of calling Vance and Trump weird.
Yes, I think Trump is weird, Vance is weird.
Right, and I think this is particularly offensive. It's particularly effective. It's kind of going directly into the high school girl bullying, the low status male, which the Democrats are trying to pull in like young girls to vote for them. So it kind of definitely plays directly into that. It's a troll response. So you don't really have any counter to it because it's just a troll. It's like Jessica Burbank like saying to Robbie, like, oh, like, why are you mad? Like, this is a celebration of Christianity when she knows it's not. So it's like,
Right.
okay, so you're just like trolling me, you're lying essentially.
Oh, and this immediately I understand why the fake is a perfect response because it does play into the same sort of social dynamics, like the fake girl.
Exactly. And well, the fake is actually, you know, Doxman came up with this. This is actually perfect because number one, the weird thing does seem fake. Okay. Number two, the right is complaining about how all of the buzz around Kamala is fake and manufactured and it's artificial because it went from like 0 to 1,000, you know, over the course of a few days. The complaint that Kamala seems kind of like an inauthentic politician. I don't know if you saw, but people are making fun of her because yesterday she was she was in Atlanta, Georgia, or in Georgia or someplace in the South, and she was talking to, I guess, primarily a crowd of Black people, and she kind of
Oh,
put on
I
like
saw
the
that.
Black Southern voice, and people were like, "What the fuck? Like she doesn't sound like that like normally whatsoever. She's from like Southern California. You know, what is this?" And so it's like that all plays directly into like she's fake, she's phony, she's fake, she's phony. So I think if Trump and the right hit her with the phony stick, the fake stick, like fake Kamala, phony Kamala, I do think that'd be pretty effective.
Yeah, that's good. That is good. So a lot of
So
people are just they seem incapable of understanding how sequential time works because
what do you mean?
everyone is just, creaming their pants over Kamala Harris and they can't imagine a world where she gets nicked up a little bit.
Hmm.
I I can't. They seem to conceptualize this glow as lasting through November, which I can't understand that people believing that. But whatever,
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, I think Kamala's in a weird situation where she needs to be out there, but she also needs to kind of hide because I think the more she talks, the more she tarnishes her reputation. So,
Right. Yeah, she wants to take this glow to November.
right,
But
right.
that's not going to happen because there's going to be a debate between her and Trump. She should be
Hopefully,
out campaigning.
hopefully. Yeah.
She needs to be doing, she needs to talk about policy or
Hmm.
policy prescriptions, right? Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. Did you see Nate Silver's post?
No, you can send it to
So,
me.
um, let's see if I can find it.
Is he
So Nate
talking about
Silver,
her losing
I did
every?
send it to you. Yeah,
Okay.
I sent it to you yesterday. Nate Silver, who used to run 538 very famously, kind of famous pollster guy. He has some way of like looking at all the polls and looking at some models and making predictions and all this other stuff.
Oh, the Silver
And
Bulletin.
yeah, yeah.
I did read this.
So
Yeah.
it looks like it's paywalled when I could have swore it wasn't paywalled the other day.
I just clicked on it. It's not paywall.
Hmm.
Harris is in much better shape than Biden, but she still has one big problem.
Yeah.
What's the one big problem?
So the one big problem I'm trying to bring up an archive copy of it so I can actually like read it was that even though she's doing better than Biden, he still says, looking at the polls and looking at the data, that Trump has a much larger chance of winning the electoral college than Kamala does,
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
according to his information. He thinks, I think it was something like he thinks Trump has a 60-ish% chance to win the electoral college, and
Yeah, they
that
gotta. Democrats usually have to do 5% better in the popular vote just to win the electoral college.
right.
Yeah. So that's why
Yeah,
they
he
always want to do some sort of constitutional amendment to get rid of the electoral college.
mhm.
Yeah, because they would win every election if it was just popular vote.
Okay, so yesterday he said he thought Trump had a 61% chance of winning the Electoral College and Kamala has a 38% chance of winning. This is based on the polling that exists.
Hmm.
And then today he changed it. He said there's a big uptick for Harris today in the polling. So Trump went down from 61% to 56%, and Harris went up to 42%. So she still has a lot of ground to make up on Trump, according to Nate Silver's kind of polling data. So that's kind of interesting.
Yeah, look, this is way too early to tell.
Yes. That's
So much is going to happen between. It's so weird because we had the assassination attempt on Trump and everybody did the exact same thing they're doing with Harris now. They're like, Trump can't lose. This
Right.
changes everything. It's impossible for Trump to
and then
lose.
something happens.
Right. Trump came out and spoke and everyone realized, oh, well, he hasn't changed at all.
Well, we first came out and spoke and you're like, oh, maybe he has changed. And then Kamala swapped in and then it all fell apart like immediately.
Yeah.
So, and there was, I don't know if you saw this, there's kind of interesting. There's a leak. I couldn't find the whole audio, so I don't know if it exists, which I am a little suspect for, but there was a leaked audio of JD Vance on some kind of call with donors. And he said that Kamala switching out for Biden was like a sucker punch to the campaign. So there
Did
was
he really? Okay.
Yes.
Look, Sitch and Adam calling the fucking truth here because we said that and everyone looked, all of you told us we were crazy. That Trump totally knew this was going to happen. Like they've been planning for it forever. They had ads lined up. Oh my God, Adam, how can you fall for this narrative? It's like, what? My guess is Trump is going, oh my God, why did I ever agree to that first debate with Biden? Why, like,
Breaking news.
Why didn't I have
news on-
that? Why didn't I have that debate? You know, after Biden was the nominee, I'd be sitting pretty.
Right.
Yeah. Why didn't I let Biden hide until November?
Could you imagine if they had done that debate till after the nomination? Man.
Oh man, that was the chaos.
That was a huge tactical miscalculation, I guess, from Trump. But see, to me, that shows that they didn't think that he was going to get swapped out, or they thought it was too late. Because if they thought there's a potential of him getting swapped out, you're 100% correct. They would not have done it until after the nomination. Which I mean, well, even if actually, I don't know if it would have mattered. Now that I think about it, because if Biden gets the nomination, let's say a hypothetical scenario, they don't do the first debate, Biden gets a nomination, then they do the debate, and it's the same thing, and it's just so terribly awful, right? Biden could still drop out. It just goes automatically to Kamala, as opposed to even going to
you're right. The same thing happens.
Exact same thing happens, yeah. And actually, it might be better for Kamala because it'd be closer to the election, so she'd have less time to fuck up.
You're right.
Yeah,
wow. See, this is why you got to think everything through to the bitter end. And most campaigns, they have smart people in a room doing this, going, here's what's going to happen. Unfortunately, Sitch, you just gave the people who are in a giant cope over the fact that they were sucker punched by this a good argument that they weren't sucker punched by this. Because now they're going to be using your argument.
They were sucker punched in the frame of like that this should have been prepared for and thought it was a real potential possibility and that they would have something to do with it, and they should have gamed out and been like if you game this out, there were definitely a lot of potential people it could have been, but Kamala should have been at the top of the list of potential people to take the slot.
Yeah, when we covered the Gavin Newsom Ron DeSantis debate, I remember saying on that stream that I thought the Democrats' strategy was for Biden to win the nomination so they wouldn't have a contested convention, and for Biden to have the ability to give the nomination to whoever he wanted. We talked about that, and I said I thought it would go to Gavin Newsom. Obviously, that didn't play out, but the rest of it did play out pretty much exactly like that. So,
and it's funny because a lot of the people that we thought were running for the ticket, Gavin Newsom, Shapiro, whatever, the other people that were kind of running for
and the others,
the other people. There's like
the
two
other
or three
forgettable,
more. The other forgettable,
Whitmer,
people, right? Whitmer, yeah, that's right. Whitmer, all these other people, they're all running for like the VP slot now for Kamala. And I don't know if you saw like someone made a like fake AI Kamala
did,
Harris
yeah.
campaign ad that had like her AI voice saying a bunch, and it was like very well
It was
done.
hilarious.
And it's her saying a bunch of fake things with AI. And so, you know, because they're all like fighting for the VP slot, Gavin Newsom, his bid to fight for the VP slot is he's like, we're going to pass a bill in California that makes these sorts of AI ads fake. I mean, makes them illegal.
Illegal, yeah.
Right, right. Which to me is so funny because it seems like such a blatant attempt at him running for the VP slot. He's like, pick me, Harris, pick me. I'm going to make this illegal. Pick me.
Is that good? I
Just
just
what good?
is it, does that set him up to be a better candidate in 2028, or does it make him look just like a weak cuck that he's like the VP for Kamala Harris?
I'm actually I don't know what the rate is of VPs becoming president
Right.
even is. Like, is it actually beneficial for someone to be a VP? Because I mean, so like in my lifetime, okay, George H.W. Bush's VP did not become president. Bill Clinton's VP did not become president. George W. Bush's VP did not become president.
He won the
Obama's
popular
VP
vote.
did become president. So there's
Right.
one, right? And then even though it wasn't immediately after Obama, Trump's VP did not become president. So, you know, we got one out of however many I just listed off. So I don't know.
Well, my question is the advertisement an advertisement of weakness?
What do you mean advertisement?
Well, you're the dude under your lady boss. It has
Oh.
a very I'm a vagina feel to it.
I don't think Democrat voters care about that, honestly. So I'm not sure that would be like a big harmful thing. Like, you were the VP to a woman, so that makes you a beta male. Like, I don't think that matters with Democrat voters. I mean, do you disagree? You think that the Democrat voters would be like, oh,
I'm not voting for someone who was a VP under a woman? What are you,
wow,
crazy, Sitch?
you bigot. What? Who cares? Don't be a sexist.
Insane.
Jeez. Oh my God. Look
Especially
at this.
some delirious airhead like Kamala Harris.
Wow. Terrible.
Look, I'm saying this stuff basically to trigger everyone because everyone is like, "Oh my God, Kamala's God's gift to America."
Mm-hmm.
It's difficult. I understood Obama's appeal because a lot of his speeches were just brimming with substance, and I don't see that in Kamala Harris. So the comparisons seem superficial to me. But look, she's going to make more speeches, right?
Right, right.
We should go back and listen to some of those old Obama speeches. I remember specifically when it came to light that his pastor, Reverend Wright, was a big fat bigot, and the right managed to paint Obama as someone who would sit and listen to this bigot every Sunday, right? It was good political move by the right. It forced Obama to kind of come out and talk about his race in a way that he didn't think would be advantageous for his campaign. I don't remember that speech at all because it's been so long ago, but I do remember a lot of people saying that it was politically effective in that it calmed people who thought Obama was going to run as like the black president, right? I'm running as the president for my people, which I just think is a political loser. But I mean, Kamala Harris, I don't think, I mean, and obviously Hillary Clinton did the I'm with her, so she was kind of doing I'm running as president for my people, right? She did the whole glass ceiling speech and all that stuff. So, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'd be curious because I don't even remember what Reverend Wright like said that was controversial, and I don't remember what Obama's response was, except that he denounced it in some capacity.
He did, yeah.
Yeah.
But Obama, I could understand the appeal. And Kamala, I can see the appeal, but I'm not really.
You're not feeling it.
I don't really understand because I'm more driven by substance, right? And I don't think I'm the perfect person to go against Trump because I've already fought people like Trump. That just doesn't seem like a substantive argument to me. Well, it is substantive if your only goal is to defeat Trump.
Right.
But I mean, the election is about appealing to people who their only goal is not to defeat Trump. Their goal is to like spin the country in a direction that's going to be good for everyone. So who is this crazy lady you brought up?
So
What's up with this hair? She looks like she belongs in a Dr. Seuss. This whole outfit, like this
outfit, this very like bright yellow pastel outfit. Yeah.
I think the Hunger Games, I mean, they hit it. This whole hairstyle and outfit is straight out of the Hunger Games. This is
the audio clip of JD Vance saying he got sucker punched.
These are your elites, guys.
Okay.
It's no wonder populism is so strong these days.
All of us were hit with a little bit of a political sucker punch. The bad news is that Kamala Harris does not have the same baggage as Joe Biden because whatever we might say, Kamala Harris is a lot younger, and Kamala Harris is obviously not struggling in the same ways that Joe Biden did.
So I would like to hear longer because they literally cut the second he says sucker punch. So I don't know if he's like, it's a little bit of a sucker punch. I really like that movie or something. I mean, I'm assuming not, but it is kind of weird that they immediately cut and I don't think the full audio exists anywhere. So at least it wasn't in the original source from the Washington Post.
Well, two things. First, I could not vote for someone who liked the movie Sucker Punch. Obviously, that was a fucking terrible movie. It was great visually, but horrible movie story-wise. Very boring. True. So, and the second thing is, this is exactly what we said. This is
I know. It's funny.
Exactly what we said.
I know.
And everyone was like, but Adam. But Adam. They had ads ready.
Like, okay. Well, here's Vance saying the exact same thing that we said, so.
Oh, people are accusing us of VDS, a very unfortunate term.
Oh, it's
venereal
funny.
disease syndrome.
My mother, she actually sent me a text message today. My mom listens to NPR.
Oh,
and she said on NPR they were actually talking about how JD Vance is influenced by Curtis Yarvin, and that JD Vance is yes, that's what she told me.
They're going for it. They're going for it.
I told you it was only a matter of time till they found it. And that they were like talking about the weird monarchy stuff and how he wants to get rid of democracy and all this other stuff. And I was like, ooh, okay.
It completely plays into the narrative that they're promoting about Trump. Yeah.
Right.
Remember what I said about campaigns are usually a bunch of smart people, trying to optimize in a room together.
Mm-hmm.
I can't believe that our streams are more apt to come up with these problems than actually the Trump campaign. Like, we came up with that. Obviously, they're going to pull that stuff out, right?
Yeah,
there's this giant narrative it completely plays into.
It's super weird because, like, normally the way this happens when they choose VPs and things of that nature is they go through the people that are like on the list and they do like a severe background check, or they hire someone to do Oppo research on their own guy just to see what will come up in the media, essentially, and then have a bunch of counters prepared for it. Obviously, the Trump team just does everything by the seat of their pants and doesn't do any of this stuff whatsoever. And so, they kind of blunder into the Vance pick, which seems to be a massive mistake, at least currently. I don't think he's gaining anything. He seems to only be losing from it. So,
yeah. I mean, his age is an advantage, but I don't know why you wouldn't pick a woman or a black person just to get past the Republicans are the party of white men. It makes absolutely no sense to me.
I am surprised he didn't pick one of the Carrie Lake-esque firecracker Republicans. I think the stench failure of Sarah Palin has gone away. It's been a while. So I don't think they would automatically get tarred with that brush unless they're like a total idiot like Sarah Palin was. And I don't think Carrie Lake or some of the other people being listed, they were not Sarah Palin retards. That
Yeah.
I don't know, it just seems to be such a much better, clear choice, especially when he's running against a woman himself.
Yeah.
So
Carrie Lake is vastly more intelligent than Sarah Palin, obviously. Obviously. So,
Yes.
yeah. Yeah, no, it's weird. No, I said the weird thing. Damn it.
It's weird. He's weird.
The strategy is weird, not the people, okay?
Mhm. Oh, and then this is also one other thing.
Are we
to
going to
found
go
about
further
this.
on this? I want to back up to that crazy outfit the lady had.
No, there's nothing else to watch.
Well, what's up with his hair, Sitch? Normally you're willing to indulge in this.
Well, I agree the outfit is terrible. I'm not sure what about the hair is bothering you.
It's weird.
Is it? I mean, it feels kind of dated. It feels like a hairstyle you'd expect to see in like
Oh
the
yeah,
70s.
1970s. Exactly.
Yeah. Like
This
the
is
way it falls and then float like feathers out at the ends there, but
this is the same woman that Donald Trump destroyed in the town hall before the primaries were still going on. The
was it?
town hall that they ended, I think, like 10 minutes early because it was just such a clusterfuck for CNN.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, oh my God, you're making Donald Trump look good. Fucking pull the plug. Pull the plug.
Right.
Yeah. So she
Caitlin
basically
Collins.
debated Donald Trump in a town hall style thing for CNN.
Right.
Oh,
Okay. The other thing that we talked about yesterday was the Crooks, the shooter,
right.
and how the FBI guy testified in Congress that they were looking at a social media account that had 700 posts that they described as having anti-Semitic and anti-immigration content. Right.
I figured out how that could happen because if he was mad that Donald Trump got the deal in the Middle East with Israel, then he could be like, maybe he's anti-Semitic and hates Trump anyway.
Or we could have the horseshoe shooter theory. Okay, maybe he went from one extreme to the other. Maybe he went from far right to being far left.
He jumped the gap.
maybe ContraPoints changed his mind. Okay?
Oh yeah.
He was going to shoot Biden, and then he watched a bunch of ContraPoints videos, and he decided to shoot Trump.
Wouldn't that be the perfect? Because this is a common
for
narrative
us. That'd be the perfect enlightened centrist. You're like, this is it.
Perfect narrative. How dare you?
It'd be the perfect narrative against political violent rhetoric, because you'd say, okay, this person was because of violent rhetoric was extreme in one direction and then switched to the other direction. So it's like both sides would be equally culpable at that point.
There's a lot of clout chasers on YouTube that use the common narrative that they were halfway down the alt-right pipeline and then ContraPoints came in or Destiny came in and saved them. Saved them, and now they're on the left. It would be great.
It'd be kind of hilarious and dark.
Yeah, and hilarious and dark if this guy, that was his narrative, right?
Yes. That would be so interesting.
Yes.
That'd be very fascinating. But no, so the FBI guy said that they found his account. They don't know 100% sure if it's this guy's account. They just suspect that it might have been his account. It has this some 700 posts they characterize as, anti-immigrant, anti-Semitic. And then people pointed to Andrew Torba, who is the very racist owner and founder of Gab, who posted specifically that the FBI asked Gab for posts relating to this account called Epic Microwave that only had, I think, like 6 or 7 posts, which show a person who is not like a socialist, but is definitely on the left. They appear to be arguing with people with sort of like Democrat left-wing talking points. And so Torba thinks that, well, because the FBI asked for it, this must be either Crooks' account or the FBI suspects it could be Crooks' account. There's a clip of Senator Blackburn, and she asked sort of this question. She doesn't ask it exactly the way that we should ask it, but about this account. And the FBI said that they also think that this account might be his account too, and that this account was like a year or two later. So it's possible that he actually did do the horseshoe jump thing. That, a few years ago, he was like a far right kind of guy, and then after that he becomes kind of like a left-wing extremist. If both of these accounts are his, which is possible. It's possible that neither of these accounts are his. It's possible one of these accounts is his. It's possible that both of these accounts are his. So,
wow.
But the only thing that's like really annoying to me about this is that, again, this is coming, you have to remember, this is coming from Andrew Torba, who is a horrible liar, okay? And no one should trust anything he says. And so we have a situation where the FBI says what I just said. Maybe both the accounts are his, maybe neither of them are his. And so Andrew comes out and he says, well, because the FBI only asked me for this one account that shows these 7 posts that show him on the left, the FBI must be lying about this other account. Even though he has no fucking clue about the other account, just because it's not a Gab account, he assumes it doesn't exist. And so he just makes up this fucking narrative that the FBI is just lying about it. And then Elon Musk very irresponsibly starts agreeing with that and parroting that when no one knows any of the fucking information whatsoever.
Does that get under your skin, Sitch?
It does. It does get under my skin. It does get under my skin. Yes.
I sensed that was bothering you.
I fucking hate stupidity. It just drives me crazy. Because it's like, again, that both of them could be his, neither of them could be his, one of them could be his. All right. Just fucking wait to say they're lying. It's part of the cover up. It's like, fuck you. Okay. Because when it comes out, like when we finally get to the bottom of this, like if they're totally fucking wrong and they're both his accounts or neither of them is their accounts or only the anti-immigration one's his account, like none of these people are going to be like, oh, my bad. Totally wrong about that one. Right.
Which causes
They're just going to never
pain.
talk about it again.
Yeah, totally. Which causes more pain and suffering? Which causes more pain and suffering in the world? Stupidity or malice? Stupidity,
because there's a lot more of it.
Yeah, we're swimming in stupidity. Stupidity's everywhere.
Stupidity is what allows malice to take hold and root.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, and I don't think that the right, I think, has a strong argument to talk about how the left has been so divisive with the accusations of racism and white supremacy and all that stuff. 100% agree with that. But then the right plays directly into that division by cultivating every conspiracy theory possible. Okay. That the Secret Service was in on shooting Trump, that the government is trying to kill Trump, all this stuff completely just headcanon that people pulled out of the ether that they have zero fucking evidence to. And it's just a total vibe check. It's a vibe check on the level of people on the left saying that we live in a white supremacist society. And all it does is create division and foster that feeling in this country. And the right, in my opinion, loses any sense of moral high ground against the left when they're doing the same fucking thing, but for their issues.
The left does just as many conspiracy theories, though. They're just not highlighted in the news. Like they don't. No,
I'm saying they're both the same.
On them. Right.
I'm saying they're both the same. Like the left, I think the left kind of started it with the woke shit and really like got everything going.
Yeah, CRT is a conspiracy theory.
It is 100%. That they got it kind of going. They have their own conspiracy theories. They have their own division. And then what I'm saying is that the right loses the moral high ground to call out the left doing all the division because they just foster their own division.
Right. But what I'm saying is they're like any group is going to have conspiracy theorists within it. Yes. But the media put a thumb on the scale because they publicize the crazies on the right that are conspiracy theorists to make it appear that that is the norm on the right. That is just the normal operating procedure of the right. They're conspiracy theorists.
I think I would say sort of somewhat the inverse of that. I think the left put their thumb on the scale by the mainstream media highlights the left-wing conspiracy theories as if they're true. And it doesn't do that for the right-wing conspiracy theories. But then the internet politics space, which does seem to be very dominated by a lot of right-wing voices, they completely push down on all the conspiracy theories. And it becomes like this race to the bottom, essentially, of like who can
Right.
get, to the most divisive, conspiracy-driven worldview,
Schlock.
essentially. Schlock,
Yeah.
yeah. Right.
Okay.
And the problem is that it's like, just as the left creates this worldview that we live in this white supremacist society, so you can bring up all the facts, you can argue till you're blue in the face, and a lot of people on the left will never, ever, ever disbelieve that idea. They've already bought into the idea. You cannot convince them otherwise. It doesn't matter how much facts you have. They will always believe that they live in a white supremacist society. And my problem with like what Torba's doing and what these people are doing with Crooks shooting Trump is that it's the same thing. They're basically setting up a bunch of people on the right who will never not believe that it wasn't the government. It doesn't matter what facts come out. It doesn't matter what happens. They will never not believe it was government. They'll never not believe there's CIA, deep state coup, blah, 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 blah. It doesn't matter. Like they've already made up their mind. Facts become irrelevant at this point.
Yeah, that's purposeful.
Yeah.
They're doing it to manipulate people.
Right. I mean, that's
Yeah.
the propaganda. So it's sad.
A lot of people are easily manipulated. This is why
Yes.
the elections are decided by independents. There's like 10% of the population that just is not easily manipulated. The rest of the population is manipulated by one side or the other.
Mhm.
It's fascinating to me that we live in a world where the two sides are so equally matched. Like there are the NPCs on the left and the NPCs on the right, but they're about equal numbers in the same way that males and females are roughly equal numbers through reproduction. Like why does nature churn out these equal numbers of people who are easily manipulated on either side of the political spectrum? Why is that, Sitch? Why does that happen?
Because humans suck.
Like what you would think there would be some kind of edge, like conservatives would have some edge in propaganda, or liberals would, or progressives rather. I try not to use the term liberals, but the progressives would have some sort of edge in their propaganda so that it wouldn't be just kind of 50-50. And the fact that it is 50-50, like males and females, makes me think it is some property of nature. The thing that I kind of lean on is the offense defense kind of way of thinking about it. Like as conservatives are defense and progressives are offense.
No, I agree completely. I think it is some biological process. It's funny because, really before a lot of the woke stuff like grabbed hold of society, there's always this meme that like all the crazy conspiracy theorists existed on the right. That was sort of the meme that the left, put out there, pumped out here. And it turns out like now we know it's obviously not the case, right? There's just as many crazy fucking conspiracy assholes on the left. It manifests through the CRT lens, the race lens.
Right, yeah.
And the left is just blind to it completely because this is the problem. Everyone's blind to their own side's like craziness and conspiracy because a lot of people on that side, they'll believe it. Like people on the left are like, oh, CRT stuff, that's not conspiracy. Like we do, America's racist. They just buy into it all. Like, so they can't perceive it.
Right, yeah.
That's why they also can't perceive, the division. We might watch at some point. There's kind of interesting conversation between Destiny and Dennis Prager on Dave Pakman's show, of all things, who did a terrible job moderating, and obviously, and it's like to people on the left, it's like the division of calling everyone in the country racist, it's just completely invisible to them. They don't even perceive it, right? Like they say, like, they correctly say that, oh, Donald Trump was very divisive, which he was, but then they just ignore that Biden was also very divisive and that the left has been very divisive, like super divisive for the last 10 years too. They just can't even perceive it.
The most interesting thing about that, for those of you guys who watch it, the Destiny, Dennis Prager, Pakman thing, was in the end of it, Dennis Prager tries to talk to Destiny about policy, and Destiny admits that he doesn't know conservative policy and he doesn't pay any attention to conservative policy. Like, he's solely driven on what Trump did is immoral, and therefore you just can't vote for him.
Right. Which
Yeah.
I wonder if that's true. I mean, I've heard him talk about it before, so I don't know if that's true or if it's just because like a talking point, because I think he said that he just wants to pivot all conversations around this election back to
The moral question,
January
yeah.
6th stuff and elector stuff. So
Yeah. Which it's interesting to me because everyone's the big, when I was saying Biden is too enfeebled to be president and I won't vote for him, everyone was like, but Adam, you aren't even paying attention to policy. Right?
now
It's
it
like,
doesn't matter, yeah.
and now I'm like, okay, well, both of these people could be could actually do the job of president. Let's look at policy. And they're like, but Adam, what he's done totally disqualifies him for running. It's like, oh, okay, now we can't look at policy. How convenient for you. These people are just dishonest pieces of shit, Sitch. Like, I'm so over it.
Right. It's pretty bad.
Yeah.
It's pretty bad.
Anyway. Well, this is fucking great. Oh, more super chats. Never mind.
Libertarian Sasquatch, thanks so much for $2. Says double dog dare you to do Mohammedan drag. Pass.
Oh yeah. Oof.
Ryan Aul for $5 says reduced fat Cheez-Its are one of the best snacks ever. You can go kick rocks, Sitch.
Oh my God. Yeah. Look, Sitch coming out hard against Cheez-Its.
Yeah. So I caused some controversy on Twitter last night. I made 2 tweets. I said, what's the worst snack food? I'm thinking Cheez-Its. Some people
How
agreed.
could you say that?
Some people got real mad.
I mean, they're not epic, but they aren't bad.
Cheez-Its
are completely underrated. Every time I'm like,
no, you're
I'm like, oh,
crazy.
what snacks do we? Oh, we only have Cheez-Its. Okay, let me have a couple. Oh, these are good.
No, this is insanity. Cheez-Its are okay. First of all, if we include candy, which I wasn't really including in snacks, I kind of think of snacks and candy separately.
Right.
Obviously, the candy corn is like the worst thing ever. Like invented
candy
by a
corn. Yeah, it's like, well, let me just eat candle wax.
Yeah, exactly, right. And people that like candy corn, I think, are like secret alien demons wearing human flesh that are trying to trick us into their candy corn conspiracy. Okay,
it's sweetened candle wax. That's all it is.
Yes, yeah. But like, I think cheeses are disgusting. They're easily the worst cheese cracker snack product of like all the things that I've tried. Like, they're worse than Doritos, they're worse than Cheetos, they're worse than all that stuff. Like, they're definitely the worst form of that kind of nacho cheese snack thing. Would you agree with that?
No, obviously.
Okay.
I think Cheez-Its are good.
What's the worst?
Well, I wouldn't conceptualize
them
as bad. I would conceptualize them as maybe the weakest showing in the
They taste
space.
weird. They taste gross. They taste
I was just
like
thinking
super
like,
artificial.
oh, if they had a little bit of spice to it. You said nacho cheese and it made me think they should be a little spicy.
They have spicy
Cheez-Its.
tried.
Do they really? Oh my God. Spicy
I've never-
Cheez-It sounds like it might be my snack.
No, spicy Cheetos. Spicy hot Cheeto fries are amazing.
Those are great, yeah.
Those are like the bane. Those and the honey barbecue Frito twist are like the bane of my existence.
Yeah.
They're so bad for you. Oh my God. I looked at there's so much fat and I couldn't believe it. I used to get these little honey barbecue flavor twist Frito chips in college. And it was amazing because they only cost like, they're in a little vending machine. You know how like when you get something on the vending machine, it's usually like 50% air. Like these things.
It's so true.
Yeah, but these things, for some reason, this specific thing, the honey barbecue Frito flavor twist, was like jam packed. It was like bursting with Fritos. So I always get it because they tasted good. There's a shit ton of them. And then I looked at like the fat content and it's like insane. It was like 30 to 40% of your daily fat in one fucking bag of chips, like a single serving size bag of chips. I was like, what the fuck is this? This is like psychotic.
That's great.
But what is the worst? You said celery. I don't really think celery is celery is disgusting, but I don't really think of it as a snack.
Celery is a snack and it's classified as a healthy snack, but I just I can't stand celery. It disgusts me. It disgusts me in soup. Sometimes they put it in chow mein, and I just think, why are you ruining that chow mein?
Yeah, I don't know why anyone puts celery in anything. It's bad. It is bad. But what's the worst like processed food snack, you think?
Processed food snack.
We should do like a snack tier list on the show on the channel.
Sure. Yeah, I don't know. I eat a lot of the almonds, like the flavored almonds that's one of my go-to snacks.
Those are good. Yeah, but I said what's the worst?
Yeah. Well, look, I don't usually go to the store and say, which of these snacks sucks. Let me focus. Let me focus my energy on the shitty.
Well, you know the
snacks
candy
here.
corn is the worst candy, so why don't you know what the worst snack is?
Yeah, but I mean, you brought it up, and I agree.
What
Yeah,
about?
look, I'd have to do a complete inventory of the snack aisle and
look at this.
What do you think? I mean, I came up with celery pretty readily, so. But you're saying it's got to be like a some sort of processed food.
People said combos, which I agree. Combos are disgusting. They should be good, but they're disgusting. A lot of people said circus peanuts, which I've never tried before, so I don't know what they taste like.
Yeah. Oh, those are weird.
Yeah.
Those are weird. Yeah.
Someone said pork rinds, which, I was very excited to try pork rinds because in the cartoon show Rugrats, Tommy's father would always eat pork rinds, and he's like super excited for them. So I was like, oh my God, it's like a potato chip but made out of pork. That sounds awesome. And then I tried it and I was like, this is the most disgusting thing I've ever tried.
It was
so gross.
I actually love pork rinds, which is somewhat controversial because I know a lot of people don't like pork rinds. But yeah, no, pork rinds are delicious.
Someone said that the Spanish pork rinds are good. I've never tried that specific one. But Chex Mix was another one people said was really gross, which I agree with. Chex Mix is terrible. I don't know why. I don't know how anyone still buys that stuff.
I like Chex Mix, so I disagree there too.
No. A lot of the individual parts of the Chex Mix are like, if you ate them individually, it would be good, but together it just does not work.
There is a competitor to Chex Mix, which is actually much better, but I can't remember the name of it.
I don't know.
Yeah. Chex Mix is sort of the knockoff of this other. Okay, well, here it is. It is Gardettos. Gardettos original recipe.
I've never had that or seen
that. This snack mix. Gardettos snack mix. Yeah. This that stuff is premium snack right there. Oh, so good. Yeah.
I'll have to try it.
Gardettos. I bought Gardettos for years. Constantly. Just one of my go-to snacks, and I never read the bag. This is the first time I've ever said the name.
That's funny. You just looked at the picture and you just grabbed it.
I'm like, Gardettos.
That is a terrible name, Gardettos. I guess it's just a person's name because you're like, what the fuck does that even mean?
Gardettos original recipe snack mix. Oh yeah, that's good stuff right there. Okay. Yes. How about animal crackers? Those are disgusting, right?
No, animal crackers are fine.
No, animal.
You think they're disgusting?
Disgusting, yeah.
I think they're totally fine. I mean, I'm never like, oh boy, animal crackers, but they're like, oh, it's animal crackers. It's just like, it's like a thing.
It's like a disgusting cookie dipped in candle wax. Yeah.
Wow, I disagree. No. I don't feel this way.
Okay, look, we finally achieved disagreement here.
Animal crackers. Wow. Okay.
Gross. Yeah.
Someone was telling me that I have to try the frosted animal crackers because they're delicious. I've never even had those before. So
I like peanut butter pretzels, but a lot of times I'll just get pretzels and dip them in peanut butter because then you can really control the content.
That's what. Do they sell peanut butter pretzels like
they do?
Together?
Yeah.
Oh, I've only done the dipping. Yeah.
They sell a pretzel that's like injected with peanut butter that I'm not exactly sure how they do that. But it's sort of like an M&M with a peanut butter inside and a pretzel on the outside. But I just buy pretzels and I dip them in peanut butter. That's snack that I enjoy.
Interesting. Well, so that caused controversy, and then my other tweet that caused controversy was I did a poll. I asked people what the best Lunchable was.
Right. How did the
Okay,
poll turn out?
So I was in a conversation with someone who I will protect their identity so that they're not embarrassed because they had the objectively wrong choice. I said that the best Lunchable was obviously the pizza one. Okay.
Right.
And they said that the best Lunchable was obviously the nacho one. And I was some kind of sick psychopath for liking the pizza one. All right. So I did a poll and it's been up for 8 hours. We got 1,000 votes. 50%, 50.5% say pizza is in fact the best Lunchable. Okay.
Right.
37.5% say ham and cheese is the best Lunchable. And then all the way at the bottom with a lowly 12%, dead last, 12%, nachos. Look at that. Nachos in the trash.
What is a Lunchable? What's the matter?
A Lunchable is, just Google it. It's like in the 90s,
No.
I think they came about. They're like these
not
little
Google Lunchable.
pre-packaged processed food things that you could give to your kid to take the lunch to school. And they had different kinds. I think the ham and cheese one was the first one, and then they had the pizza and the nacho ones later. So
Lunchables. Interesting.
well, there you go. I know now they have like a bunch of different flavors or different ones. Back in my day, those were the only 3 I think they had. So
Lunchables.
Anyways. TL15245 for $5 says the hypocrisy of this is that if you make fun of any of the letter people, Jessica Durbank, I like that, here would lose it and start listing unaliving stats. Very true. Yeah. Like if the Christians started unaliving themselves, would she suddenly change her position? So Ryan Uhl for $5 says, what are your thoughts on Supreme Court reform proposals introduced by Biden? So I haven't like looked into actually the specifics. I didn't read what the policy was. I just saw like a 1-sentence description, which was term limits, I believe, of 18 years, and that the Supreme Court people have to follow some kind of code of ethics guidelines. For term limits, I think I'm in favor of term limits if you staggered them. So you don't have, because I think it is bad to have a situation where like one president gets to pick like 3+ Supreme Court choices. I think it would be better if it was staggered. And then people kind of knew more like, oh, this president's going to pick a Supreme Court, or it was more like a regular occurrence, like, oh, this president's going to pick a Supreme Court justice, as opposed to this like game of, who's going to die, right? In some kind of unspecified way. I don't think that's like a great idea.
The only problem with that is that the lifetime appointment does deal with the corruption issue about, like, if you're a Supreme Court justice and your term limit is going to come up, you're more inclined to think about what other job you're going to have to take after your, so if you wanted to do it where they just basically got a government pension for the rest of their lives to fix that problem, but I think people would be totally against that.
Well, I know that that's like the thought process or one of the arguments I've heard, which I understand. But I don't know how effective it is because, I mean, not every Supreme Court justice pulls a Ruth Bader Ginsburg and stays on until they die. Most of them leave at some point and then they go do some consulting work and get paid millions of dollars somewhere anyway.
Oh, okay.
So
you're
all
saying
do it anyway.
It doesn't really solve anything.
Yeah, I'm not sure it really fixes the problem. Or you have the second problem, and this is with the code of conduct thing with Clarence Thomas, which is that, if him or some other people are receiving a bunch of money or vacations or gifts from people that are politically aligned while they're on the Supreme Court, like that kind of undermines the whole, well, they need to be in in for life in order to prevent them from being corrupted, right?
Yeah.
So now I don't know. So I think I'm tentatively in favor of term limits. I mean, I'm sure there are good arguments against it I haven't really heard of, so I say tentatively. In terms of the codes of conduct thing, I don't know exactly what they're suggesting, so I don't really comment on it. Though I would just say I do agree that obviously if you're on the Supreme Court, I don't think you should be able to receive money or gifts from people, from political people. That just seems to be like a no-brainer. So,
Oh man.
I'm assuming you agree
Such
with
a
it.
spoil sport.
I know it seems kind of silly that you receive gifts and money from people when you're a Supreme Court justice. So,
Oh man. No, I'm just joking around.
mm-hmm.
I think you're right. Taking bribes while you're on the Supreme Court is probably not a good thing for our democracy, right?
Yeah, I think term limits for Congress would also be a good idea too. I agree with that completely. Yeah. We only kind of briefly covered the Clarence Thomas gift thing. My original opinion was it didn't really matter because Clarence Thomas is very, very right wing, and I don't think he's being like bought off to give rulings unless he actually had a ruling on some industry or a case that was specifically involved with someone paying him, or giving him money or a gift, and that would obviously be completely immoral if he didn't recuse himself from it. But then I did change my mind when we started to read Clarence Thomas's book, parts of his book, and then I saw a different argument that was convincing to me.
You read Clarence Thomas's book?
Well, we read sections of it. Remember when?
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
I read it all. Yeah.
you read the whole thing. And then actually the argument, I heard a different argument that actually changed my mind, which is that they were saying that the people paying Clarence Thomas, they weren't paying him because he's like, they wanted to make sure that he would vote, quote, right wing in Supreme Court. They're paying him because Clarence Thomas was complaining about not getting enough money. And there was this fear that he would quit the Supreme Court to go into the private industry. And so the money and gifts were basically a way to keep him on the court. And if that's true, I mean, we don't know if that's 100% true, but if that is true, I would say that is a form of corruption. So I don't think Supreme Court justices should be able to get outside payment and gifts like that.
In Clarence Thomas's autobiography, he's always had money troubles. He's always
well, that's why,
like,
yeah, because when we read that, I was like, oh, that does make sense with what he's talked about in his book. So
yeah, it's kind of funny because he's like he was the head of some government organization. I think it was for getting more minorities into different jobs or pursuing legal action against companies that had discriminatory hiring practices. But that organization just had no money whatsoever. And when he went in, there's a bunch of corruption and stuff. They'd been spending a bunch of money unwisely and padding people's pockets and stuff. So he was tasked to like clean it up.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty funny. Look, I messaged you. I DM'd you the MMT Cowboy. It's only 56 seconds. Come on, let's do some cringe.
What you sent me was not like a link, so I don't know.
Oh, really?
It's just like a text summary. I was very confused.
Oh, really?
Like, what is this?
Let me send you. Let me see if I.
And
Oh yeah, I
it's
guess. What happened? Like it literally turned it into.
It's still whatever you're doing, it's not working. You have to do a copy paste of the URL or something.
I know I'd copy pasted the URL, but
maybe Twitter is like doesn't let you send TikTok links or something. Oh, there it is.
I had to text that into a text file and recopy it as a link.
That's so weird. That's very interesting.
It's a TikTok. When is TikTok going to become an American company? Please.
I believe they had a year to do something. So
stop messing around. Stop your messing around. All right, you ready for the?
I'm ready.
This is premium cringe here. Okay.
Right.
3, 2, 1, go.
What if
The government has spent too much money. What do you mean, too much money? We've spent more than we can pay back. That's not how it works. We don't have to pay that money back. What? When you and I spend money we don't have, we have to pay it back. We take on debt. But the government creates the money. What? Think about a scorekeeper at a basketball game. They don't have to go around with a bucket and collect points from all of the players in order to put them on the scoreboard. They just conjure them into existence. Similarly, the federal government creates dollars when they need to spend them. So they've been lying to us. So we can have nice things? We can have nice things. Thanks, MMT Cowboy.
Okay, so this is like awful. This is so bad. First of all, like, I don't know how this has, I don't know, it doesn't show me how many views this has. But it has a lot of like likes and comments, so I'm assuming it's very high. I don't know how this got popular because it's literally like a vacuum devoid of charisma and enthusiasm. Okay, like what the fuck is going on in this video? It's
You're so harsh. Why do you hate
like
the MMT Cowboy?
I feel like my
Sitch?
life is being drained from me as I watch this by the MMT Cowboy. Okay, this is insane to me. As an autistic man, how is this so devoid of charisma? This is like fucking. This makes DeSantis look like Donald Trump in terms of charisma and energy. Like, what the fuck is this? Why did she film it this way? What's happening? How is this popular? How does anyone watch this and be like, oh, this is good? All right. But that's number one. I guess just because she's like an attractive woman and that's all that matters.
Oh, yeah. You nailed it.
Right. So she's just an attractive woman. Okay, I get it.
1,500 comments. I guess it's 60,000 likes.
60,000 likes, yeah. So there's that. But I kind of despise the scorekeeper analogy that people use to describe MMT. Like, I don't think it's an analogy that only works in a very narrow conceptual level. Because it doesn't actually work when you're talking about money, because unlike points at a basketball game, there's not this constraint of, the inflation constraint. Like points in a basketball game don't have that constraint. So I just think it's a very bad, and that's the problem with just printing infinite money. So I think it's a very bad analogy to use.
I think she used it terribly, but I don't think it's a terrible analogy. But in this simple context, there's really not enough. It comes off as a bad analogy. So,
well, because she's saying in terms of like, we don't have money to pay it back. So she's like, well, you just have infinite money the way you have infinite points, which is not true.
Not true at all. Yeah, she completely ignores the fact that there's limited resources.
Yeah, limited resources and inflation constraints. And then at the end of it, she says, oh, so we can have nice things. We can just like buy everything. It's like, no, that's not how that works.
Yeah, I want at the end her to say, you mean I don't have to pay back my college loans? And the MMT Cowboy to go, that's right. You don't have to pay back your college loans.
Oh, okay.
You got ripped off.
Okay. Fondue for $5 says, yes, the traditional twerking for Christ. How could we forget? There you go. Classic. Libertarian Sasquatch for $2 says, ironic that the fat drag queen is Dionysus a glutton. Well, no, that would have actually made sense. The fat drag queen was not Dionysus. Dionysus was some popular French male pop singer who I believe was his world premiere. And a lot of French people were excited. They're like, hey, look, it's a popular French pop singer. People are going to be excited for this. And then it was like this total bomb controversy. So,
right. Yeah. It overshadowed him as a pop star.
Christoph Keating for €10 says, they say it's based on Van Bilgert's painting Feast of the Gods. According to the museum in Dijon, it's an adaptation of Da Vinci's Last Supper because the Dutch were iconoclasts, so no painting of Jesus. Well, first of all, if that's the case, that's kind of hilarious because that would destroy the entire point. But I don't. So even if that is what it's supposed to be, they kind of destroyed it. But I don't actually believe that was the intention. I believe the intention was Last Supper because, again, The lady who was at the Jesus spot, she has the Jesus Madonna crown, very specifically, which I know Jesus doesn't have in the Last Supper, but that imagery is specifically always associated with Jesus and Madonna. I've never seen it associated with Dionysus or anything like that. Bull Moose for $5 says, listen to how she talks about this. It's revenge to her. She knows it's insulting and she likes it because of that. Yeah, that's probably true. Grassroots Hegemon for $10 says, stuff that is aggressively off-putting does not get ungrossed because rights did not replace moral intuitions. That's true. I mean, you can do it, but it doesn't get ungrossed. That is true. Anonymous Cow for $5 says, every response of hers is a non sequitur gish gallop combo. It's so annoying. Can't believe I'm saying this, but I'll take Brie over her. Wow. Look at that. Look at that.
Yeah, she is kind of saying, okay, you don't like that argument. Here's another completely contradictory argument. How do you like this?
Exactly.
What?
All beef hot dog for $5 says, after hearing Daddy Sitch's disdain for Overlord, I feel so validated for despising that sadist trash. This is why S-Class is the best class.
Boo.
Well, thank you. I die like always, the real one for $5 says, if you sit quietly while one injustice happens only to demand world condemnation towards another, people have every right to point out your hypocrisy. Well, there's a difference in terms of, you could say like, oh, I agree with you. It's bad that this thing happened. Do you also agree that this bad that this other thing happened to maintain consistency? That's the way to handle that situation. The way to not handle it is to say, fuck you. I hope you die in a fire and I'm going to make fun of you forever because you don't also care about this other thing in another different circumstance. I don't think that's the way to handle that conversation. So,
yeah. Just sit quietly during the injustice, Sitch, please.
Okay. And also, there is a difference between a country with its own set of laws doing its own set of thing versus, again, the Olympics. So I don't know if it's exactly I don't think it's a comparable thing. Christoph Keating for €10 says the Olympic Committee's rules forbid displays that are political or religious. For example,
does it really? Wow.
A surfer was forbidden from using one of his boards that had a picture of Christ the Redeemer statue from Rio. Well, that makes total perfect sense that would be the case. I don't know how the fuck this opening ceremony thing got okayed then. I'm assuming someone at the Olympics committee has to greenlight whatever they do. So I don't know how that person isn't fired, because obviously this shit's all over that.
Sitch, this is just the truth, okay? This isn't political or religious. This is just, Christians are bigots.
Right.
That's just a fact.
But I would argue that simply, like, if you're Muslim and you want to wear a hijab or whatever, or a headscarf, I would argue that that shouldn't be forbidden in terms of like displays of politics or religion. Like if the scarf said something like, Allah is great, or, whatever the saying is, then I would agree, okay, just wear one that's just black, right? But I don't think wearing just the headscarf in of itself should be considered like a forbidden religious display, in my opinion.
Right.
The Texan for $5 says, I feel like she's leaning a bit too hard into the insufferable bitch act for this show.
That's what I was thinking.
That's funny. That darn Kiddeth for 60 a month. Hey, Kidda. Says, guys, it's not happening, but if it is, it's a good thing. So don't be mad. Enjoy the blue belly and balls. High art. There you go. Look at that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is definitely sort of the attitude. Poem for $5 says, off topic, but how could the counting of the fake slate of electors off topic, but how could the counting of the fake slate of electors stole the election when the Dems could contest them and we all knew the results already? Oh, I got confused by the grammar. So the way it would work, the way Trump wanted to work, and the way Eastman thought it would work, who was Trump's lawyer, was that even though everyone knew the outcome of the election and they knew that the slate of electors were fake or not accurate or whatever terminology you want to use for it, that Pence would use them, that Pence had this power as VP to essentially look at the fake slate of electors and look at the real one and say, well, there's some kind of conflict between the states can't come to a decision about who won the state, even though that's not true and everyone knows it's not true. And thus he would throw out the legitimate votes, and that would kick things back to a vote at the House of Representatives. and there were more Republican states than Democrat states, and they would presumably, if they all voted in lockstep, would vote for Donald Trump to be president. That was sort of the way they thought it would work. But I agree, it seems completely ludicrous because everyone knew that those electors were not real. So
A lot of people seem to be in complete denial over what the goal of January 6th was. Like, a lot of people have reconceptualized that as just a protest over what they thought was a bad election. Without, and I guess, look, if you're going to ignore the Eastman memo and the goal laid out in the Eastman memo, or think that wasn't really going to happen because it didn't play out that way, I guess that's
Right.
good for you. But Sitch, I mean, I'm assuming you agree with me that it seems like Donald Trump wanted the Eastman memo to play out as stated, right? Like,
Well,
his goal was to stay in office.
There's two separate things. There's what Donald Trump wanted, and then there's what the protesters wanted or thought.
Right.
And so I agree 100% that, like, Donald Trump, he wanted the Eastman memo
to play out.
To play out, and he was directly calling for Pence to do that action in his speech, that day. And he was directly calling on Pence to do that on Twitter before he was banned and all this other stuff. So that was definitely what Trump wanted. I don't think the protesters understood this elector scheme in any way or capacity because it's very complicated, especially in those early days. Most people didn't really understand this, and it wasn't really something that was talked about. I think the protesters were just protesting what they thought was an illegitimate election. I don't think they were
stolen
thinking
election.
Right, that it was stolen. I don't think the protesters had any concept of like this elector scheme or anything like that. So maybe that's why when you talk about it, the two things kind of get meshed together.
Right, that's an excellent point. Yes. So so they thought they were just protesting an election that was stolen, but they thought at the end of the day, obviously Trump is going to leave office, and we're just expressing our dislike of how things went down.
Maybe. I don't know what their motivation was, but I don't think they understood this elector's idea or anything like that.
Right.
There was an idea that I've heard circulated, and Scott Adams keeps saying this, and it's just completely untrue. And it was a more popular idea of like back in 2020, which was that there was some way or possible thing that could happen on January 6th that would delay the vote enough to give states more time to look into election fraud claims, and that's what January 6th was about. There's some claim about that. That was not, maybe it's what the protesters thought, I don't know, but that was not what Trump's goal was on that day. So
I think January 6th is in the Constitution, right, as a date that they have to certify the election.
I don't think it says January 6th. It's like the first X of whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
First Monday of January or whatever the fuck that says. Yeah.
Right.
So that's why there is no process where it can be delayed, because it's in
the Constitution.
Well, I don't know if it's in the Constitution. I think it's in the Electoral Count Act. So it's just in the law specifically. But
right. Okay. Well, that's easier to change than the Constitution.
Right. It could be changed, but it hasn't been changed as of yet. So Oblivious for $2. Thanks so much. Says fake is great. There are so many damn bots on X. There are a lot of bots on X. It is kind of crazy, I feel like. So, and I don't know about you, but I've been getting nonstop fucking text for political donations ever since Joe dropped out.
Yeah. I get texts from both Dems and Republicans.
Yeah. I'm on both the lists. I have no clue how. I've never in my life gave a political contribution. So it is
and they're like, oh my God, this election is going to decide the fate of humanity.
I know. Someone sold my fucking phone number to these people.
That's the way they all are.
The Messiah for 19 months says, see DMs. I'm not really interested in debating you on Trump or Israel or anything, Mossad. So, but thank you. Alexander Wilson for $5 says Jessica was Bernie's regional field director in Iowa in 2020. Well, that makes perfect sense. Makes perfect sense. Yeah. Artemis Fowl for $10 says if Trump didn't do the debate, he wouldn't have had the most iconic photo in the last 2 decades. The left wouldn't have been so desperate in trying to end Trump. I mean, I think that's actually, we know that that's not the case, because I believe when they were looking at Crooks's search history, I thought they said that it went before the debate, that he was sort of planning this before the debate, or they
Oh,
think he was
really?
planning it before
Interesting.
in terms of like looking up some of the things. I'm not 100% sure. I thought that's what they're doing. I'm skeptical that the debate had any sort of influence on Crooks's decision making. So, Artemis Falford Drew says president and vice president cannot be from the same state. Oh, that is true. I guess that is true. So I guess Newsom couldn't be Kamala's VP.
Look at
Yeah,
that.
okay, that's a good point. That is true.
He's just trying to stroke her.
That's true. That's true. BA for £2 says France bans all religious items, not just Muslims. Yeah, no, I get it. I don't think that like people that have to cover part of their body for religious reasons should be included in that category. I don't think it's like an overt religious symbol, the way that like having, Jesus, Buddy Christ on your surfboard would be. So Artemis Fowl for $5 says Democrats taught credentials while Republicans champion accomplishments. Oh, tout credentials. Is that how you spell tout? I've never seen the word tout written out, I realize.
Yeah.
Interesting. Well, there you go.
Democrats tout credentials while Republicans champion accomplishments. Is that
I don't agree with that, but I think everyone touts
whatever
credentials when they have it.
Yeah.
And they point to accomplishments when they have it. So I don't think it's like a left-right thing. It's just everyone uses what they can when they can use it. So
yeah, whatever is going to be effective.
Artemis Fowl for another $5 says, to be clear, they likely clipped it there. This is regarding the Vance thing, because he was about to go into all the ways to go at Kamala Harris. Oh, maybe. They
didn't want all that in there. Of course
they didn't
not.
want all the information. Yeah. You should call her a big phony. You're a phony. Moondog for $10 says, been catching up and was surprised to see people acting like their politicians shouldn't be trying to get their votes and others. Their job right now is to literally clarify for potential voters. That is true. That is what they're supposed to be doing.
Oh yeah.
Adam Gadbot for $5 says, I've thought of the perfect way for JD Vance to pick up the cat lady vote. New policy proposal. Cat custodial voting. 1 extra vote per cat. How do you feel about that, Adam?
Terrible idea.
Terrible? Okay.
I mean, cats are great, but I don't think they should get votes in presidential elections or any elections for that matter. So
the Sultan of Swing for 1 month, thanks so much, says, had the shooter been a centrist, who would have been shot? Well, obviously, he would have had to shoot both candidates at the same time with the same bullet.
Okay? Right, the magic bullet.
He would have snuck into the debate with like a high-powered rifle, and he would have waited till like exactly Trump and Biden were just standing so that they were perfectly lined up so they could hit both of them.
I can't believe you're endorsing political violence like this, Sitch. So evil. They should ban you.
Yes, there you go. Sketch for $5 says, the right has always had an awful habit of adopting the language and tactics the left was using 10 years ago. That's funny. Zero for $2 says, woman in yellow kind of looks like Caitlyn Jenner. Wow. Look at that.
I noticed the similarities.
Kerr for 22 months says, just because I'm a secret demon alien doesn't mean candy corn is terrible. Quit being an Islamophobe.
Wow.
No, candy corn is just terrible because it's just terrible. Okay, I don't know what to tell you. Trash. Total trash. I don't care what anyone says. Garbage.
So evil.
What is this? Someone just showed me a picture. There's someone on eBay is selling an ultra rare puffed Cheez-It with no holes for $6,000.
Buy it.
There you go. So if you want a $6,000 Cheez-It, it's a Cheez-It doesn't have the little hole in the center. You know where to get it. It's on eBay.
Buy it up. Make it count.
J-Mac, a surrogate father for $10. Thanks so much. Says, Sitch, have you had the toasted Cheez-Its? They are way better than the OG. However, I'm glad I was able to open your eyes to the glory of chicken in a biscuit, the goat snack of the world. I have not had the toasted Cheez-Its. No. So I don't know what that tastes like. I had not had
a biscuit. That sounds great.
Yeah, so I never had this before. I didn't know this even existed. I'd never heard of this. There's a cracker called chicken in a biscuit that J-Mac it showed me, and it was pretty tasty. It tastes interesting. So thank you for opening my eyes, showing me the truth.
The way.
even though they're very
This
unhealthy
is
and full of fat.
the way.
No way. It's got it's a cracker that has like dehydrated chicken like in it, so it has like a chicken flavor. It's kind of weird,
Really?
but it tastes good.
Interesting. Oh, chicken littles. Mm.
Mm-hmm. Where was I?
Yeah.
Titanium Dragoon Neo for $5 says, big surprise. Sitch being racist against Italians with that Gardetto's remark. Wow.
What did you say about Gardetto's? How
I
dare
said it was
you?
a bad name for a product.
How dare you?
PC for $2 says, not sure I like Briahna Joy Grade 2.0. Can we roll back to the version 1.0? No. There's no rolling
Unfortunately
back.
not.
We're stuck.
She just fell off my radar too. I keep seeing her podcast come up in my feed and I'm just like, why do I want to see her sit around and agree with some crazy leftist? Just, slapping each other on the back about how right they are. Is that good content, Sitch? I don't think it is.
It's great content.
No, the thing that worked about Robbie would come in and like pierce her leftist bubble. It was great to watch. This is like the leftist bubble. Her podcast is the leftist bubble personified.
Mm-hmm.
It's awful.
It's true.
Terrible. Horrible
Eyes of
content.
Memes for $10 says the saddest community on Reddit is Reddit Zero Coof. It's an echo chamber of psychos who obsess over 4-year-old cold. You'd think the sub would close down by now, but Reddit is anti-common sense. Wait, what is it? Is it like pro thinking COVID is real, or is it think COVID's fake? Which one is it?
They probably swap mask designs or something.
I can't tell from that. I mean, I don't know. It is weird to me that people are still like obsessed one way or the other about COVID, like this late in the game. So
there's both sides are still obsessed with it. The people on the right are like, never forget COVID. Oh my God, what they did to us, the concentration camps. And then there's people on the left that are like, COVID is not gone. Quit pretending that it's over. It's still here. Cases are coming out every day. Wear your mask.
Right.
The sky is falling. Ostracy for $5.
Ostracy for $5. Did you guys discuss the documents case stuff? I heard it got dismissed. Did I miss you guys talking about it? No, we didn't actually talk about it at all.
But it did get dismissed. Yeah.
Did get dismissed. I kind of just vaguely looked at it. Is that the case that got dismissed because of Clarence Thomas's concurrent minority opinion, which is really fucking weird? And I didn't even know that was like a legally binding thing. So I never even heard of that before. I don't know if any lawyers are listening right now. Is that a thing that's ever happened before? Because
she did cite that though, right?
She did. Yeah. My understanding was, I could be totally wrong because I didn't really look into this. My understanding was that it was dismissed because they were saying that the special prosecutor, so Clarence Thomas in his concurrence, which I did not think was binding legally, speculated that during the Trump immunity case, that special prosecutors couldn't exist legally and thus had no power, and thus any sort of investigation done by a special prosecutor should be ultimately nullified. And that the judge in the documents case, who was appointed by Trump, pointed to that and said, I'm going to dismiss the documents case, or agree with Trump's lawyers to dismiss the documents case on that grounds, which that doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever. So,
does it reek of corruption to you?
I mean, it feels like it. I feel like it reeks of corruption. That doesn't make any sense to me. If this is what unless I'm mistaken and there's some other argument here, but that doesn't make any sense. So, but I guess we'll see. They're appealing it, so we'll see what happens. The Justice Department said they would appeal the decision. Yeah, no, it says U.S. District Judge Aline Cannon, who was appointed to the bench by Trump, ruled that Special Counsel Jack Smith, who was leading the prosecution, was unlawfully appointed to his role and did not have authority to bring the case, which doesn't make any sense to me based on a concurrent opinion from the Supreme Court. So, which I did not think were binding at all. JMac for $10 says, okay, Adam, we need to do some actual MMT cowboy skits. I don't even like MMT, but this is an insult not only to MMT, but cowboys acting and analogies in my senses. There you go.
Of course, yeah. Look, it's premium cringe, but I don't know if I can top it. I'll have to dig out my cowboy hat, see if I can give it a go.
Okay. You have a cowboy hat?
No, I don't actually have a cowboy hat. I would have to get one. Do you have a cowboy hat?
Of course I do. Every good American has a cowboy hat.
Okay. Well, good for you.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I have a ball cap.
2007 Shockwave for $2 says, if we don't have to pay the U.S. debt back, why interest? Well, we do have to pay it back. No one's saying you don't have to pay it back.
What are you talking about?
What?
Pay it back to who?
To whoever's holding a treasury bond.
Right.
Yeah. You have to pay it. I think there's a confusion. You have
It's
to pay
so
it back.
weird.
The question is you just could print more money to pay it back, essentially.
It's so weird because when money is in the form of a bond, it's considered a treasury debt. But it's considered the U.S. debt, right?
Yeah.
But if you pay that money back and they take the bond money and put it in their savings account, then it's reserves and it's not considered part of the debt. But it's basically the same exact thing. So
interesting.
Yeah. Like I'm always saying that the debt is the money supply.
Right.
Because look, you could pay off every single treasury bond and the cash would be in people's accounts as reserves. And then you'd be like, there's no one to pay back, right? Everyone's got their money.
Mm-hmm.
And there would technically be no debt, but the amount of currency would be the same as the U.S. debt. It would just be in people's bank accounts. The reason why people want treasury bills is because they I don't want my money just sitting in my account. I want my money to earn interest, right? They want some sort of savings vehicle that earns money over time. So they desire treasury bills. They're like, turn my dollars into treasury bills and give me interest over time.
Mm-hmm.
The thing that I'm always wondering, are people actually, because people's desire to have a savings account because it makes them feel safer in the world, right?
Mm-hmm.
But people kick the bucket all the time with massive savings accounts, right? And they give it to their heirs. So that's how the money stays in the economy. I mean, how much money doesn't ever make it to the process of actually buying a tangible good in the real world?
I have no idea.
Yeah. So how much of that, and this is why they compare debt to GDP, because they think, okay, we've got all this money that's out there, and technically we should be making enough stuff to correlate with that much money. And it's kind of a nice metric that if you spent all the money in the world in 1 year, you could actually have enough money to purchase all the things we produce in 1 year, right? That's the thinking behind it. But do people actually produce that stuff? I guess technically they do, because GDP is based on sales. So it is stuff that people actually bought. It's an interesting equation.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, the way people conceptualize the debt, though, is like money the government borrowed from somebody to pay people and do stuff, and that person is sitting there going, I need that money back. But that's really not how it works. Where's my cowboy hat?
The Real Halcinator for $5 says, hope you guys are doing well. Did you guys watch Dev's video on the Olympics? Also, on a G to XXX rating, where does drag fall? I did not watch Dev's video on the Olympics, but I'll check it out. I think drag.
Yeah. Go ahead. What do you think?
My problem with sort of a lot of the drag discourse is that it's true that not every drag show is necessarily sexualized, but drag as a concept is predominantly sexual in nature and has always been predominantly sexual in nature. And so it's super fucking weird to me that drag, which is, by the way, drag is an aesthetic. It is not a protected identity or class. It is just an aesthetic. That's all it is. Drag is the same as, or I'm saying it's the same category as people who really like the band Kiss and they put all the Kiss makeup on and they dress up like that. It's the same thing. So it's totally fucking batshit insane to me that an aesthetic gains some magical protected status because for some reason it gets associated with gay people and misassociated with trans people.
Yeah.
So,
So where is it on the scale? I mean, maybe R rated.
I think drag generally is in the PG-13 to R-rated category in most cases. So, and
Right.
I don't think they should be doing any stuff. Like, could you imagine if the Olympics opening had people that were dressed up like in Kiss outfits or like goth rockers and they had like their dicks out and they're like, oh well, because we're dressed like Kiss, you just have to accept it. It's like, well, what the fuck? That has nothing to do with it. Like, what the fuck?
People could come out in TradCon attire and like do simulated fucking and it would be still bad. I mean, it's not necessarily just the dress, it's the behavior.
No. Well, and imagine like if if the Olympics was in Hungary or something and you had like they put on I don't know, like a little skit and it had like Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden and then it like showed them over time becoming a man and woman getting married and there's like a big sign that like goes down behind them that says marriage is between a man and a woman, right? And this was in the opening ceremony of the Olympics. Do you think the left would be mad
They
at
should
that?
do that next year just to give equal time. Yeah.
Fondue for $5 says, I dislike Overlord either, but the idea that Sitch found it morally disgusting has gotten stuck in my brain. Is it Albedo? It's Albedo, isn't it? No, it's that weird, there's like a weird episode in, I think it's like season 2 or season 3, where for no reason, the Overlord character hires a bunch of people to break into his castle just to like brutally torture them in like horrific fashion. And it's so fucking weird and like disgusting. And I have no fucking clue why it's written into the show or why anyone would want to watch the show after that. It was so bizarre.
So he lets criminals break in and then tortures them for breaking in?
Yeah, he hires a bunch of criminals to break into his castle, I guess just to test the security systems of his castle. And they're not just like killed, they're all like horrendously tortured in like horrific fucking ways. And I was like, what is this? This is just like torture porn. It's disgusting. So much like watching the opening ceremony of the Olympics. RBGH fam, thanks so much for the $10. Says, is there validity to Trump's skepticism that the election was fair after Russiagate and impeachment, COVID, mass mail and voting ballot harvesting, and the Hunter Biden laptop collusion on social media? So, taking in order of that, Russiagate, totally fair to investigate. Obviously, it didn't show anything bad, so that sucks for him, I guess. Impeachment, Trump should have been impeached, so nothing wrong with that. Obviously, I disagree with COVID mass mail-in voting ballots or ballots harvesting, even in some states where it's not illegal. And I disagree entirely with social media, what they did with the Hunter Biden laptop scandal. That being said, these are all different actors all doing different things, and none of them whatsoever would justify Donald Trump deciding to try to overturn the election whatsoever. And there's a big difference too, and this is kind of the problem. These two things get kind of mixed together. It was sort of like the whole, is the election fraudulent or fair, whatever the term is, where at first the claim was that there was election fraud in the fact of voting machines overturning or changing votes or a lot of fake votes or things of that nature. And then when all those cases either got dismissed or couldn't be proven, the narrative kind of changed to, well, it wasn't fair because the media was biased against Trump, which it was, which somehow would then justify Donald Trump doing, trying to throw out the vote. Right. And those are two very different claims completely. So,
and I hate that they're constantly conflated. Yeah.
Right. Twitter Socks for $5 says, anything from Nabisco is the worst snack because they support Hamas, Pikers, cracker, racism. That's a great point. Yeah. Like I used to like wheat thins and I will never eat them again because
really
it's so disgusting that these racist pieces of shit at Nabisco were literally giving Hassan the green light to be a racist piece of shit.
So. Right. Yeah.
Sammy G for $5 says, Sitch thinks Cheez-Its suck. Good. Based. Now what's his take on Lunchables? Oh, well, flaws are part of being a human, I suppose. S-Class L. There you go.
Really? Wow.
Apparently, Sammy likes the disgusting nachos Lunchables. Wow. Very sad. Very sad.
I've never eaten a Lunchable. Maybe they're delicious.
Wow. I mean, some people just got bad taste, right? Some people, they just like Cheez-Its. Some people just like candy corn. Some people even like circus peanuts. I don't understand who these people are. I wonder if they truly are human or if they're just some kind of alien in disguise, watching human behavior through some kind of skin mask.
Right. Trying to infiltrate and impersonate us.
I know. Trying to take over the earth by getting all of us to have really trash taste and things.
Studying us. Trying to understand the ways of our snack tastes.
Exactly. It's all, I think candy corn, Cheez-Its, and circus peanuts are all part of an experiment by aliens to see if they can convince us to eat to eat literal garbage. And, just to see if they can convince us to do it, see how malleable our minds are.
What if they come out with a poll that shows that candy corn is the most popular candy ever created?
Well, then I would know. I would have to buy a gun, and I would have to find those glasses from They Live, because I'd be convinced I'm living in the They Live world and aliens have taken over.
You would know that they're really fucking with you, huh?
Yeah,
You'd be
I would.
Oh,
I would.
man.
Actually, if that was the case, I would say, "Oh my God, we are living in a simulation."
Their tier list is like candy corn, peanuts.
Exactly.
What are those called?
Circus
Marshmallow
peanuts.
Circus peanuts. That's it.
I haven't actually tried them. I don't know. Everyone on Twitter was
they're
saying
disgusting.
They're terrible.
They
I don't
are
even know
disgusting.
what they taste like.
Oh, they're disgusting.
What do they taste like?
You're like, what is this supposed to be? A candy?
What is it? I don't even know what it is. Is it like a peanut thing or?
It's like a vaguely orangish flavor, maybe.
According to Wikipedia, it says it has artificial banana flavor, so that's disgusting.
Is it really?
What it says. It says circuit peanuts is an orange colored flavored with artificial banana flavor.
Interesting. Wow.
And banana flavored things. Why I hate bananas, but banana flavored things are like 10 times more disgusting. So gross. Artemis Fowl for $10 says yes, but the opinion was probably the nudge, where all she cited all other appointees to special counsel confirmed by the Senate at one point as attorneys or otherwise, and no other laws exist. Okay, I mean that's fair. I'd have to look. As I said, I haven't researched it, so I have to look into what she's saying.
Grasping for an opinion, Sitch.
Well, I don't know what the history of special counsel appointees are in terms of Senate confirmation versus however this came to fruition. So
she's innocent.
Okay.
She has to come on. She can't just write law, Sitch. She has to copy something.
Okay.
Give her a break, Sitch. Don't be so harsh.
My iPhone for $2 says, should I delete my YouTube channel? Never. Don't do it. Don't do it. Okay. Never.
Why?
You should keep it. Clinically insane for $10
but what if there's
says
a bunch of like racist stuff on there or pornographic material or
okay, if you have racist or pornographic material, you should delete it. If you don't have that, you should keep it. All right.
Okay, good.
That's my so says
could
so
be snuff films on this YouTube channel and you're like, no, don't delete that.
True. Clinically insane for $10 says my buddy's a cop who once worked with Trump's Secret Service detail. Wow. He confirmed that they have a dedicated radio channel for intercommunication, not getting the message an excuse, but for what? Really? Well, I mean, first of all, if I assume that what your buddy said is correct, that seems to like directly contradict what the Secret Service and the local police both testified against that at the hearing. So, I don't know. It's interesting.
Got a simultaneous there.
The real wholesale for $2 says Kiss is awesome. There you go.
Right. You big Kiss fan?
I can never get into Kiss. Sign it, their music.
I had some Kiss albums when I was a kid.
Okay.
So.
Okay. Anyways.
Not a super fan or anything. All right. This was an amazing show. Oh, man, Sitch. This was good.
Are we streaming tomorrow or not?
Hell yeah. What are you
There you go. We're streaming tomorrow.
So. Of course we are. There's got to be something going on. Yeah. Lots of news. Lots of things going on. This election's heating up.
Maybe we'll watch the DEI debate video.
I want to talk about it. I want to talk about this election. Yeah, we'll watch that. It'll be great. All right.
Kamala Harris DEI candidate. Is it fair? Is it not fair?
When
Find
is
out tomorrow.
The big question for me is, when is Kamala Harris actually going to say something of substance? That's the thing that I'm looking for. So
Never.
yeah. Well, look,
Never.
I think I'm leaning towards that too, but we'll find out. All right. Bye-bye.
Later.